Okay, man, we're gonna go ahead and get this thing going. I'd like to welcome everybody to the third of, I guess, this series of Zoom calls with regard to Grambling athletics, uh, football specifically, but we will try to touch on the other sports when we can and as the questions come forward on that. Um, Want to remind everybody that everybody needs to do what the request was to start your video so we can go ahead and get this thing going. So um, I guess where we left off last time, there was a lot of questions because the season was just over. The Bayou Classic loss, and a lot of I guess feelings that were brought to the forefront. Um, it's been a couple of weeks since that time has passed, and so I guess people had a lot of chance to kind of wind down and kind of have their thoughts together. I guess what we left there saying, there were some people that were saying that there was problems with recruiting, there was problems with funds raised, so or lack of their funds being raised. So I guess I want to ask. I want to start off by saying, what are some of the? I'm gonna highlight some of the things that I know that are fundraising apparatuses available for people to contribute to. As far as I know, now, there's some things obviously I don't know as far as the organizations that are trying to get some things going on or what have you. But I do know that um, you can. The Alumni Association is a fundraising arm in a sort of kind of a way. You join the Alumni Association in your particular area, or you can join it at large. Also, they're the Grambling Legends Incorporated. You know who puts on the Grambling Legends Sports Hall of Fame, which I'm affiliated with. There's the Friends of Football. There's an organization that's been going on for some time that made some key contributions to the athletic department. There's some things that they've been doing. I've asked some representatives from some of those organizations to come on so they can kind of tell about their particular organization. Gram.edu/giving, you can give specifically to a department, football, communications. You can give to the various other entities and that are available on their drop down menu on their website. And then, of course, obviously, season tickets is a way to give, which is through the athletic department. So, uh, what do you see we need to do in order to, I want to say, level the playing field? Oh, let me also mention that there is an athletic fee that the students are charged for enroll when they enroll. Some of the money that they're for their that they pay to get in Grambling goes specifically toward athletics. So that is another entity that is out there that's kind of uh, kind of refills itself year to year when it comes to that. Tyrone, let me go with you first. What do you think that is going to take in order to get people in the mood of giving?
Winning is the starting point.
We can't hear you, Tyrone.
Can you hear me? You hear me now?
Go ahead.
Winning is the starting point, of course, but also the new AD has to come, he or she has to come on with some ideas how to get the alumni involved. The alumni is still disassociated. For whatever reason, Grambling alumni, we still have that hesitation about giving money to Grambling because we never get accountability for the money.
So accountability is the main issue that you see.
Right.
Okay, we're gonna go ahead and go with let's go with Charles. Charles is a unique situation. Uh, I will say that Charles is he's an alum of Grambling. He is also he also works for Alcorn State University, and he does broadcasting for them. Charles and I were in school at the same time here at Grambling. We go a long way back. We've had lot of conversations. I've seen him in various locations throughout the country, following Alcorn, following Grambling, and following the SWAC. Charles, what do you think in general are some key things that people need to understand and need to do with regard to giving to the universities?
Well, I think, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I think just, and first of all, I guess I have to apologize in a way because I am a Grambling grad, class of 1991, and I am guilty of not being an avid contributor financially like I should be, like I've been called to be. So I apologize for that and that aspect of it. From my vantage point and following Grambling, being a part of Grambling since 1986, and looking at where the program is right now, it's kind of in turmoil with the different ADs, Mr. Bryant, Ponton, and company. You've got to get some stability in there first, and I think it all comes down to what football is doing as well. You know, football has won until lately. And I look at the football program where it is right now. I mean, 18 months ago, of course, we didn't play football in 2020, but in the fall of 2019, they were a win away from winning the Bayou Classic, had a 21-3 lead. You win that game, you win the West, you play for the championship. If you won that game, you go to celebration. You never know what's going to happen after that. But the last 18 months, Grambling football has been in a downturn. You blow a big lead in the Bayou Classic, then Jackson State rolls in there in the spring of 2020. You win that game, you fumble the ball at the 1 yard line, and the season just goes haywire. It's amazing how when coaches tell their players, enjoy the ride while you can, because when it turns, it turns. And it has turned at Grambling. And it probably has been this way probably for a number of years. I'm of the belief as an alum that the program is in decent hands with Broderick Fobbs. He took over a program, if you remember, that came off a protest in the Circle City Classic, taking over a program that dealt with the muscle milk issues and all of that, rallied the troops. Grambling's the only team to win the Celebration Bowl. And yet he's going through another crisis right now in which he's had to let his offensive coordinator go, quarterbacks coach go. He's tearing it down and only to build it back up. I think he should do that. I think he should be afforded the opportunity to do it. I think he's built up enough cachet to be able to do it. I know it's probably massive disagreements, and I understand as an alum what the Bayou Classic means. It's everything. But I think Broderick Fobbs has built up enough goodwill to give him an opportunity to fix it, and I think he will. He's been through this. He's a Gramblinite, and I think he should have the opportunity to do it. And yes, it's been a struggle. It's been down over the years. But I think the program's in good hands. I know it's all about money and how much he's making and all of that. You know, just as a Gramblinite and as a person that follows athletics myself, if you let him go with a year left on his contract, then you're paying two coaches. That's more money that's going to be asked of. So I just think right now, in my opinion, following athletics and a lot of the coaches, the moving pieces and coaching, give him an opportunity to fix it, because I think he will. Now, whether it's enough for some people, I don't know. But for Charles Edmond, I think Broderick Fobbs has done a nice job. It's been a struggle, but I think he'll fix it.
Okay. Thank you, Charles. Appreciate that. Herman RV, let's go with you. What do you think? What's going to motivate people to give to the program? And I'm just not talking about, obviously football is the cash cow, no pun intended, for athletics. Then there's baseball and baseball, basketball, and what have you. What do you think it's going to take for people to start giving to the university?
Hey, Ray. How's everybody else? Sorry for the background noise. Actually, the Planet Fitness. So I'll be brief. As far as what I think, actually.
Herm, I'm going to need you to speak up some. It's hard to hear you. Speak up some.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Right.
Can you hear me better?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, sorry about that. As far as I'm concerned, I actually speak a lot of the words, and I'm as guilty as anyone in terms of not giving back. But you know, I'm in the process of making some things happen along with some of the G-Men brothers. You know, it's really close to heart when it comes to the guys, and you know, we have a movement going, and as soon as it's solidified, I'll be happy to make that announcement. But you know, I know there's been some hesitancy in terms of trust, but you know, transparency goes a long way. But also, you know, everyone talks about transparency and where the funds go, but I don't necessarily think that everyone has had a personal experience. You know, a lot of times it's word of mouth and it just kind of snowballs. So that's all I have to say in terms of that. And I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself, and I'll listen.
Okay.
Can I add something to that, Renal?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, as of course, I work at Alcorn, a public institution, just like Grambling is a public institution in Louisiana, using state dollars to run athletics. Every dollar that's being spent can be accounted for, and people can get access to. It's called the public records. You can get that information. So in anything that, and it's not like we're a private school like Notre Dame or some other private school in which they don't have to release that information to anyone. If anyone has any issues in terms of how the money is being spent, it's all accounted for. The budgets are open season, open records, and anybody can take a look at it at any time. I know it may be harder to get, but it's there. It's just a matter of whether or not people want to go through the effort of looking at it. And I think if they see it and they can prove that the money's being misspent, then that's another case. But just myself being at a public institution, I can tell you that money's tough to come by, you know, especially when you're not winning. We went 20 years, Alcorn went 20 years in between championships, football championships. And I can tell you the fan base was just as angry then as Gramblingites are right now. But I think in terms of not trusting where the money's going, you know, people stealing it and, you know, whatever they're doing with it, trust me, every dime can be accounted for on paper and it can be proven. It's just a matter of how far do you want to go to get that information.
Well, I believe that is true based on if it's all given strictly to the university that way. But if it's going through a foundation, then the foundation has its set of rules that may not necessarily have the same sort of restrictions or, I guess, openness as the state of Louisiana has when it comes to that sort of thing. So I've actually known for them to say, especially when there was one of the other presidents was here, he said, we don't have to, if it goes through the foundation, we don't necessarily have to tell you how we spend that money that's in the foundation. So that may be something what people are talking about. I'm not going to broad stroke it and say that that's what everybody is talking about. But yeah, certainly what Charles has said, it is valid, because I have gone through many times and asked for coaches' contracts, athletic contracts. I've done it plenty of times. I have a whole stack of them that I've done a public records request on and have received them. So yes, there are certain things that are public record, and they are bound by the law to require to offer them to people who ask for them. So absolutely. And the budget for the university is on file at the library, which you can go in and see and do what you want to with it, take pictures, whatever. I've done that. So yes, absolutely true about the public request part of it. But I do know that when it's run through the foundation has a separate set of rules that are not necessarily those of the state of Louisiana when it comes to accounting for everything or having to account for everything. They don't have to account for everything as far as telling the public that the type of money that they have and how it's being necessarily spent. So I hope that I'm wrong on that, but I believe that to be true. So I know we have, anybody else?
That's true, Ray, but I also think the Alumni Association also is not very transparent with the funds.
Okay, that has been a case, and I am cautiously optimistic about the new leadership that is at the helm of the Alumni Association. I know I forgot his name, the vice president, Williams. I forgot his account. I think it's Calvin. I don't know much about him, but what I do know of him, he's been pretty, upfront about things, and I applaud that. And I hope that that's a sign that the Alumni Association is headed in the right direction with regard to how it operates, its dealings with contracts, and how, with starting new chapters and things like that. I am cautiously optimistic about the direction of the Alumni Association. I hope that it continues to go in the right direction for the sake of the university and for the alums of Grambling State University. Sean, I see Sean St. John popped on, fellow communications guy. Sean, from your perspective, being from the Sinlaw area, what do you think it's going to take for people to consistently give to the university?
What's going on, Ray? How we doing, guys? I really think, Ray, go back to the last meeting, accountability is number one. In the central Louisiana area, we believe in dues paying, alumni, the local alumni, the Mildred S. Jones here. And I'm on the road here, but we believe in dues paying. I think one of the major things is that Grambling be more transparent in the things that they do, even from the ticket point of view, season tickets, the giving of the university. I don't know if the athletic have an endowment or anything of that nature, but I know the alumni, the athletic boards, and the foundation boards. I don't know what the privacy part of that is you're just talking about, but it'd be nice to see, what we're getting and everything. And I think that 9-for-9 deal, we talking about the credit card, that's a good deal. But I think accountability and transparency is number one. Always been a question of finances, especially football program and some of the sports programs and stuff like that. Probably when we get an AD, somebody that's permanent, that would be probably more transparent. And I think that's the key, just being more transparent.
Okay.
Well, you have two tracks going. Okay, so you have athletic programs run from two tracks. You have the state, which is the university, and then you have the foundation. So you have two separate tracks there. And I think if you know how much is being supported by the state or the university, that's one track. And how much is supported from the foundation, that's another track. So if you separate those, I'm sure they are, but you'll know exactly what's what, and you can be accountable, or you can hold somebody accountable for each one of those. Now, from the state, that means it's the AD, it's the president, it's the business manager, vice president of finance. That's on one track. And then on the other side, the foundation, that's a whole nother animal altogether. And I think that's what Sean's talking about as well. From the foundation standpoint, that is a private entity. LSU's athletic department, and I hate to compare, but their entire athletic department is funded through the LSU Tiger Foundation. They pay the salaries, the scholarships, all of that. So I think if you can get the accounting for one and you can get the accounting for the other, it's just a matter of how you're going to be able to do it, and you'll be able to tell how it's being spent, and you'll be able to trace the money. I think now with what's going on today with people going to jail and prison for embezzlement and other things, I think there's more accountability now because people want to know where their money is going, and people can actually say, unless I know where my money's going, I'm not going to give another penny, because
Right.
Money is hard to come by these days. And I think we're in a whole new era as compared to when I was in school back in the 80s, where that assumption is out there. People are stealing the money. Well, I think if you take the chance on that and get away, you can only get away with it for so long, because at some point the money's going to be traced back to individuals. They can be prosecuted, they can be thrown in jail. I don't think anybody wants to deal with that. So I think it's a little bit tougher now. And I just think if people just ask the right questions, they can get a paper trail in terms of where all this money's going, both state and foundation.
Well, I agree. And I think that there are some people who are looking for a reason not to give more than a reason to give. they will come up with every excuse that they can to try to justify them not giving. And I don't think that you're going to ever convince those people to change their mind, because it's too late. But what I do think that the point I think that permeates through all of our conversation is holding people accountable for everything. So, if you send a dollar or $2 or whatever amount that you want to send, at the minimum, you should get a response from the university or whatever entity that you send it to, acknowledging your gift that you gave. That's the least. That's the very least that can be done for your contribution. Because I've never been one to be with this. Oh, let's find 1,000 people to give $1,000 and we could come up with the money with this. That's fine. I just think that we have to get people accustomed to giving. Then in that same note, we have to build the trust that money that's given is going to be handled properly.
Right.
And we're gonna be good stewards of the money. I've said this every conversation I've had on here. We have the university, the foundation, the Legends, the Friends of Football, whoever the entity is, has to be good stewards of the money that's given. That way, people will be more apt to give again, and then maybe start to give more as it goes on. I don't know if that's happened. And that's the part that bothers me. I don't think that that's happened at this point with all. I'm not saying any of those groups have done that. I'm just saying in general that we have to make sure, whether it be, hey, did you get my email and back? Say, did you get my contribution? If you didn't get a return email back. I remember buying something online through the gram.edu giving, and I got something back saying, thank you for your contribution. So, I at least know that they got it. That's some of it, because, with this electronic giving, is sometimes you don't know if it went through or not. So to be able to know that it was done safely is probably a relief to the person that's giving. Oh, okay, at least it went through, and you don't have to do it 2 or 3 times, and then end up giving 3 or 4 times that you didn't want to give. You just want to give that one time. So the acknowledgement that it was received is the basic thing that an entity can do for you. That's the basic, but it should be everything that you do. It doesn't matter the amount that you give. It should be, thank you for your contribution to Grambling State University, or whatever entity that it is that you're giving to. Then, if there's something that's specific, now they have the gram.edu/giving has a drop-down menu where you give to various departments. So if you want to give to the band, you can give to the band. If you want to give to the football team, you can give to the football team. You can give to the mass comm department. I believe that there's a drop-down menu for the mass comm department. And I think there's some endowments that are out there that you can give to as well, with the drop-down menu on gram.edu/giving. So there are ways to give now. You can buy your tickets for, you buy your season tickets online. You can do that. I think that's been in place about 2 or 3 years now. So those things are coming around slowly, but they are coming around. So I don't want people to think that nothing is being done. But yes, if there's some things that you think should be done, you can go to gsutigers.com/directory, and you can look up, athletic director, president, coaches, everybody involved in the athletic department, and you can send your email to that person specifically and point your questions to that particular person if you want to. It's okay to talk about it here, but I think the most impact is if it's something that's so egregious, blow that email up, blow that phone number up. They'll return your call. And the more people that do it, they'll see that there's an issue, and they'll be more apt to be addressed if they know more than just one person, 2 people to talk about it. Then there's a crew of people that are interested in why this is not happening, or it should be happening, or if it's just to say thank you for something that you agree with that they're doing. That's always good as well. So accountability, transparency, absolutely. The ways to go about that, public records requests, absolutely. But I think the foundation, I think they release some of their information annually. I don't know if it's quarterly, but I think they do something annually where they release their information as well to the public, I believe. So, what do you guys think about what we have going on? You know, we're looking for. They announced. Let's switch gears, and we'll come back to the that part of it. We need to. We've hired a new a new offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach. His name is Eric Marty from a junior college in California. We've yet to hire, as far as I know, and I've heard some names about the offensive line coach. But what do you guys think about the offensive coordinator? And I'm sure you all have done a little research on it, because just like everybody, tried to find out what's going on and not really listen or watch the information that was released from the university. Tyrone, what do you think about Eric Marty?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I went online, I researched him, of course, looked at his film, looked at some of the clinics he's attended and spoke, and tried to figure out the offense that, you know, he tried to run. He was successful at the JC in California. With me living in California for 35 years, I know the JCs in California are very productive. He's aggressive. I'll put it this way. I'm gonna give him every opportunity, because it has to be better than it's been the last 3 seasons. It has to be. If it's not, we're in deep, deep trouble. We'll be in that 20-year slump, and I'm not looking for that 10-year, not even for a 5-year slump. The 3 has been enough for me. So I'll give him credit. I hope he and Coach Favre can have a relationship, because it has to be. Coach Favre has to trust his defensive coordinator. He has to trust his offensive coordinator. And I believe if he give him the ropes, and now they're bringing in new quarterback, a new line coach, etc., he should be able to implement his system and turn this off. Because we got to score at least 35 points a game, or we will not win. So that's...
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Linda, what do you think about Coach? The hiring of the new offensive coordinator?
It sounds like he's supposed to be pretty good at recruiting, and right now that's what we need. We've been suffering recruiting for the past 5 years. Looking back, you know you need recruitment, and you know you're losing kids every year. And what are we doing? We're not replacing them. And our offense have been looking pretty bad for a few years. But even when our offense put the points up, the defense just, nullify everything that we've done. So if we get some good recruiters, we got to get some good recruitments coming in. So someone's going to have to go down to New Orleans and recruit like we used to do. And that's not happening anymore. And we're going to have to pull in a lot of these kids from Texas.
Okay. Appreciate that, Linda. Crystal, you just hopped on.
Yep. Hey, how you doing? I did want to touch on something. I don't know if you guys have already discussed it, but to be honest with you, an athletic program is only as strong as its athletic director. The main function of an athletic director is to raise money. I don't mind giving money to the university. We've always given the money to the university, but the kind of money we need is corporate money to make a difference. We could ask for money like every couple of weeks. I guess it's okay, but we don't pay people to sit there and go through the Rolodex and keep calling people in the Alumni Association. We need you to go through your Rolodex and call some corporate sponsors. And we do have titles within the university that we pay these people to raise money. If they're unable to meet the need, then they need to be replaced with those who can. But the number one thing an athletic director is supposed to do is raise money.
Okay. All right. Right. Okay. So let me ask this question. I appreciate that, and we have touched on that. But what are your thoughts about the offensive coordinator, hiring of the new offensive coordinator at Grambling?
Well, I'm not familiar with him.
Okay.
I don't know, truly how much a difference he'll make, because to me, there's several other positions. Our problem was not just offense. We have defense problems. We have several other problems too. So to weigh in and think one position is going to make this big of a difference from what our needs are, I don't know.
Okay.
I would like to make a comment on it.
Hold on. All right, Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, just in following Grambling and their ebbs and flows over the years, I understand what was done. Someone had to be a scapegoat for the problems. So you started with the offense. But the defense, to me, is the bigger problem. And nothing has been done, at least to this point, to address the defense. There's not been any changes on that side of the ball. I thought the offense, I thought Hickbottom was a very serviceable quarterback. I thought the offense was okay. But you got to get off the field on defense. And that's something, if you go back to the second half of the Bayou Classic, 2019, they're up 21-3 and the defense falls apart. Then against Jackson State, the defense falls apart. And then UAPB, that was kind of the final nail in the coffin. So I think the defense is the bigger issue. I think offensively, it wasn't the best. It wasn't the days of Kincaid and Carter and Chad Williams and all that, where they were putting up points left and right. But I thought the offense was okay, but the defense was really a shock to me in terms of how they've slid down the hill pretty quickly. And I think until that's addressed, I think it's going to be hard for Grambling to get back to where they want to be, because you got to stop people to win championships. And Grambling hasn't done that since the Bayou Classic of 2019. And I go back to that year because that same year they played my team, Alcorn, a team that was scoring 1 million points and held them to 16 points in 4 quarters in overtime. So the defense was okay in that game, but then they sprung a leak in the Bayou in 2019 and haven't been the same since.
Right. And I do agree with let me go around and I'll give my assessment. Bailey?
Yeah, Rick.
Hey man, how's it going?
I was having some technical difficulties trying to hear you guys, man.
Okay.
What is the question right now?
The question is, what was the question? The question was, what do you think about the hiring of the new offensive coordinator?
Oh, so I did some research on him as well, and I heard what Tyrone just said. I totally agree with him. You got to put some points on the board. Somebody said something earlier around recruiting. It's going to be hard to recruit if you don't win. In this day and age, you got to be able to win to recruit, because these kids are not going to this program without winning, no matter how much history you have behind us right now, right? So if this guy comes in and have a good program, good offensive program, I think the recruitment will come back real strong, real quick. So I'm interested to see how he make out. Look like you got a lot of people that follow his offensive scheme. He even teaches his schemes all over. So he sell packages for that. If anybody haven't looked, just take a look at online. You'll find it.
Okay.
But I'm ready for it. I'm ready.
All right, appreciate it, man. Hey, Herm, what do you think about the hiring of the new offensive coordinator? Okay, he'll come back to us. Go ahead, Herm, if you're there.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me? Well, I don't know anything about him. I did see some of the the information regarding his track record. I mean, only time will tell. My only thought is, as far as the hiring, it would be nice to get some Grambling blood back on staff. So that would be my 2 cents.
Okay. All right. Sean, what are your thoughts? Sean St. John. Okay, we'll come back to Sean. My thoughts on it is I kind of knew about it a couple of weeks before it was released, and I purposely sat on it just to see how it would play out. I looked at it, the multiple gun offense. I do like the fact that he is going to use tight ends, which I thought that was something that we gave up on a while back is just throwing the ball to the tight end, because we were so concerned about throwing 12 plus down the field when the underneath was wide open. But, you know, that's just my thing. And I do agree with anybody who said the defense was the problem. I agree with it, because the offense has been masking the defense for a while now. The defense was only number one in the conference, ironically, the same time that the offense was number one in the SWAC, which I believe was 2016, the year that we won the Celebration Bowl. So, you know, after that, the defense had been fifth and below in the conference. So the offense has been masking the problems of the defense for a long time. Those of us who follow a little more closely understand and see that giving up 400 or 500 yards a game is not defense. And I hear the people who say, well, the offense has to stay on the field longer and have longer drives in order to give the defense some rest. I can see that for a bit, but my point is, if you tackle people, you know, you can stop people from getting first downs. I mean, you can't rely on that. What if the offense was a quick strike offense? What if they scored the ball in a minute or two of getting the ball? Are you gonna tell them to slow down so the defense can get some rest? No, you have to get defense. That's what depth is for. You have to have some depth on your team in order to maintain and run with the offense that you have. So I don't think that the offense needs to slow down in order to give the defense a chance to rest if that's not the offensive philosophy. So yes, Eric Marty is our offensive coordinator, quarterbacks coach. I just, it's hard for me to be impressed with junior college coaching. It's just hard for me unless he came from a really, really strong university that they were known for putting out high caliber student athletes after they matriculated through the university. But from what I've seen, I have not seen high caliber. I've seen here and there some players that have come out and done some things, but not to the magnitude of maybe a blend college, junior college, or something like that, that is notoriously good at putting out student athletes, and they go out and get drafted and the whole nine. So the jury's going to be out on anything dealing with Coach Marty, in my estimation, until September 5th. And, you know, all the speculation is fine. That's what we do. I love it. But I'm just not convinced. It's hard for me to be excited about a junior college coach coming in to the program and hoping to turn this thing around in a short amount of time, implementing a new offense and things like that. It's hard for me to get excited about that. But, you know, of course, I'm still going to do what I do as far as games, be on the road as much as I can, but it's just hard for me to get excited about it. Charles?
Well, you have to be patient. Okay, so we all know what Fobbs has done. OC is gone, O-line coach is gone, quarterback coach is gone. So you bring in Marty, he's going to be the OC and quarterbacks coach. You look at your roster right now, Hickbottom transferred. You got this kid, Biden, who was touted as the best quarterback in the city of New York. So you got a new OC, you got a raw quarterback. It's going to take some time, and it's called growing pains. The question is, how much patience do we have? If you got a couple of years, and if Biden is the guy that you feel like can make, well, then, you know, I mean, it's hard to hit a grand slam unless you get people on base. So if you're talking about hitting a grand slam right now, and I can tell you from when Jay Hobson was hired at Alcorn, we had a quarterback named John Gibbs. It took 2 years for him to be where he was, a championship quarterback. And that's just a special circumstance. That's the exception rather than the rule.
Correct.
So unless you have patience, it's not like you're going to get, you still could get a quarterback out of the transfer portal, someone, a junior, senior with experience. Then I think I can see that. But you got a raw coordinator, you got a freshman that's coming in. There's going to be a little bit of a setback. You just have to be ready for it. It's not going to be the same as it was when Kincaid was quarterback, or even hit bottom. Hit bottom was serviceable, okay, to me.
I don't.
So I think it's gonna take a little time, and I know patience is wearing thin, but the offense has been blown up. It's gonna take time to build it back.
Yeah, well, it's I hear you, and what you're saying is no doubt the truth. There's no doubt the truth, but I don't see it because again, it's just not the quarterback that's the issue. I mean, the offensive line is the issue. The offensive line is not blocking for the running backs. The running backs are, not hitting the holes. It's a whole lot of things. And I've said this on previous calls. We're not. There's not one thing that I say this season or the past couple of seasons that we can hang our hat on and say, okay, well, if nothing else, our O-line is going to be blowing people up, or our DBs are going to be shutting people down, or our linebackers are going to be knocking people out. We're not really good at anything. There's not one thing that I can say that we're good at. Special teams. There's not one thing that I can say as somebody who's observed Grambling football for a long time that we're good at right now. So even with Biden coming in, and I have every confidence in him because of who his coach was. We also had, we keep giving up on the Walker kid that's already here. And there was another guy that we signed from a junior college the day that Hickbottom entered his name into the portal. There was another JUCO kid that we picked up as well. I can't remember his name. So, quarterbacks, I don't think quarterbacks are going to be our issue because they've never, to me, been the biggest issue that we've had. It's been a lot of everything that's been our problem, not just one thing in particular. It's been a lot of things that's been our problem. My buddy Greg Bridges has hopped on, and I'm going to start him off by asking him the question about, be sure you turn your microphone on, Greg, to ask him the question about what does he think about the offensive coordinator / quarterbacks coach?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ray, I'm gonna lay the cards on the table. The gentleman that spoke right before me is exactly right. My evaluation of Grambling right now, today, is we need 2 wide receivers, 2 offensive linemen, and a quarterback on offense. You need 2 defensive end, a linebacker, and 2 cornerbacks on defense. Make a total of 10 impact players. We need 10 good impact players right now. The bottom line in all of this, guys, is not necessarily the new offense coordinator, what his scheme is, anything like that. The bottom line is everything that we talked about. I've been following Grambling for a long time. It's going to be execution. Now, I'm going to give you a good example of what I'm talking about. Gary Donaldo was at LSU, and Alabama had a running back named Alexander who ran an 80-yard touchdown. The next series, he came back and ran a 75-yard touchdown. And the question asked of Jerry Donaldo was, what happened? He said, well, the guard pulled and the tackle and the tight end and blocked the defensive end. The guard that pulled took out the linebacker, and the running back just beat the safety one-on-one. Well, what happened the second time? He said, the guard pulled, the tackle and tight end blocked down on the tight end. The guard that pulled took out the linebacker, and the running back beat the safety again one-on-one. No matter what we talk about, guys, no matter what your scheme is, whether it's offense or defense, you got to execute. We can have Kincaid, you can get everybody back from the championship years. If we don't block somebody and you don't have a good offensive line and you don't execute and you don't carry out those plays, you're sitting here with Grambling with a man that ran the Wayne Teat for 50 years. Now there was old coaches he beat, there was new coaches he beat, there was rookie coaches he beat, there was guys been around for a long time, there was guys came in new. So what was the magic touch with Coach Ross? What made Grambling so outstanding? Execution. They ran the Wayne Teat to perfection. They ran the old Green Bay Packers sweep to perfection. They ran the trap plays to perfection. No matter who you get, man, you're gonna have to execute. If you don't block nobody, the easiest positions that you can play technically in this game is defense. Because your percentages of doing something wrong goes down on defense. Your defense can always be solid because they can be very aggressive and tackle and pull the ball out. But now, be honest with you guys, and I'm just throwing it out there. If I was defensive back, I wouldn't sign with Graham. It's embarrassing. I don't want to play 10, 12, and 15 yards off of a wide receiver. I want to be up in his face like Hunter and them did in man-to-man. I really think the guy, I went back and looked at the stuff he got from the junior college. I looked at a lot of his plays that he run. He got a variety of plays. They do use the tight end a lot. They throw a lot of screen plays. They do throw it downfield. None of that's going to be any good if we don't get an offensive line that can block. It's not going to be anything if we don't execute. We have to be able to block the people to get at times. A freshman quarterback coming in at Grambling, I know the expectations are high, but he is not Doug Williams. He ain't going to be able to come in here, man. And I was telling you, that team, everybody at Grambling, for every ball player is going to be on that team. We have to look within himself, and everybody's got to get better. Everybody's got to get better from top to bottom. Everybody's got to get better from Coach Forbes on down to everybody. If everybody, from my observation, don't get better, and I'm talking about better, we're going to be looking at a sad season because everybody around us is getting better. And that's my evaluation, no matter who we get, or how we get them, Ray. If we don't get some offensive line in there, and if we don't execute, no matter what he calls, if one guy fails in that plan of execution, just one guy don't do his job, that play is going to break down. And we're going to say, oh, man, he ain't no better than what we already had. It's going to take a while to get us from where we are now. We in bad shape right now. I'm not ashamed to say that. I love Grambling, but we're in bad shape right now. And like I said, it's going to take, from my observation, we need 5 good impact players on offense and 5 good impact players immediately on defense, Ray. And that's my evaluation to that question.
Okay. And to go back to the question that Charles stated about time, I don't see it. I don't see time. I don't think that there's an automatic 2 years going to be given to to the coaches to try to turn around. I don't really see it, because if we talk about what, I forgot how many did we lose on the back end of 2019? How many games did we lose? I think we might have lost two or three on the back end of 2019. Then you go into 2021 and you got those games, and then you're looking at the 2021 fall schedule, and I'm not giving Tennessee State nothing. I'm not impressed by them at all. That's a winnable game for us, so I expect to win it. But let's just say we do win that game. You got 5 or 6 games in there of teams that are good, that have recently. I know Alabama. We didn't get a chance to play Alabama A&M prior to this year. We have beaten them with the kill glass on the team. So it's not like, and with the coach on the team, so it's not like we've never beaten them before. So they can be beaten. So I just don't see, with the amount of games that we have and who we're playing, you could be looking at a 1-5, 0-6, 2-4 going into homecoming, and then you play Texas Southern for homecoming, and you got Pine Bluff, Bethune-Cookman, FAMU, and Southern after that game. So I mean, it's a tough schedule, but I just don't see it working out, because I just don't see us giving Fobbs another chance after a 1-and or a 2-and season in the fall to be there in 2022. That's just my opinion. I don't make any decisions when it comes to that, but that's just my opinion, because I just don't see us being able to put up with a 1-and or 2-and or 3-and season, especially when you're talking about coming with another loss to possibly Prairie View and a Bayou Classic loss, and and Bethune-Cookman and all that. I really don't see it. I really don't see it. Crystal, you have something?
Okay. Mind you, I have not coached football on the field, but I've
Right.
coached it from the stands.
Right.
But let me ask you this: why do we have to have a year or 2 year grace period? Our leadership is still the same. Coach Fobbs is still there. So these are the students that he recruited. So why does he need a couple more years? He's not new.
Okay. Well, Charles, anybody want to address that question?
Well, I think no, he's not new. I think this could be a byproduct of, and this is the argument that you've had, in which you build it quickly by getting transfers as compared to building a program from the ground up with freshmen all the way up to seniors that keep your kids there for 4 years. You had Kincaid, that was a transfer from Ole Miss. You had Carter, you had Chad Williams back in the day. And all those pieces kind of left at one time. So now you have to try to rebuild that and get that same talent in there. And it just didn't happen. And Fobbs had to do something. Now he blew it all up by getting rid of everyone on the offensive side of the ball. So it's going to take some growing pains. And I've experienced this at Alcorn. It's going to take some time. I know people don't have time. And I know, some people feel like it's time to get rid of Fobbs. Change needs to be made. From my understanding, 2022 fall is his last year of his contract. If you get rid of him at the end of fall of 21, you still owe him money. Then you got to bring in another coach and pay that person. We're talking about money and finances. So to me, in my opinion, this is a Gramblinite. I think what Fobbs has done coming in and salvaging the program and winning the only Celebration Bowl, I think he's done enough where, in my opinion, you should ride it out. Ride out that contract to 2022. Because if you get another coach at the end of fall of 21, you're starting all over again. He's already doing it on the offensive side of the ball. So if you get another head coach, you're starting over again. So then you could set yourself back. Remember, Alcorn's coming to the West. Southern's still going to be pretty good. They got a championship roster right now. Prairie View's kind of in the cusp. So you either going to take 2 steps back now, or you make a big change with your head coach and take 6 steps back. Do you want to do that? Do you want to do that? I wouldn't.
It depends. It depends. It all depends on a lot. I mean, the hire could be a difference. The prowess of recruiting of that particular coach and his staff could be the difference. So, but what does it cost us if it doesn't get better? That's a cost too. I mean, I understand you talk about the financial part of it, but that's not anything new. The $319,000 is gonna be paid, but what does it cost us if it doesn't work out? Are we lose everything? Do we lose everything because no one is coming to the games or nobody is supporting, whatever that may be? What does it cost us if we continue to hold on? And I certainly understand what you're saying. It does take time, but I think we are at this point. It's because something wasn't done before, not something that's not being done right now. We're to this point because something wasn't done years ago when Jonathan Williams was on his way out, when Chad and Verlin Hunter was on his way out, when Martez Carter, when those running backs were on their way out, when the line was on its way out, when we didn't replace those guys. That happened years ago. That didn't happen this year. That happened years ago.
Right.
So the coach was still the coach then. So why wasn't something done then as opposed to us having to continue to hold on to something right now? That's the question.
Because you were
asking.
One of the biggest issues that we have, we lost Dooley. We lost Dooley, who was a big in recruiting in New Orleans. That hurt us bad too at the same time. You had a lot of losses. You're right, and I think he's trying to make up for the losses now. And I think what's your name? Charles, I think said earlier.
Yes.
You really do have to ride it out until the end of 2022 because you have a short off season this year. You bring in a new system, you got to ride this thing out now. And plus the financial side, Charles, I agree with you.
Well,
and then the other thing, the other part of it too, is when you have a program like what we've got going on right now, you do have to ride it out. And also Grambling was winning at a high enough level to where you felt like changes weren't needed at the time. Grambling was still competitive. They were 1/2 away from winning the Bayou Classic in 2019, up 21-3. Okay. Coming in the Jackson State game, they fumbled the ball at the 1-yard line. They should have beat Jackson State. If those two things fall Grambling's way, we wouldn't be having this conversation. Grambling would be 1-0 playing Pine Bluff. Who knows? We might not even be having this conversation. So it's a short window. It's unfortunate, but to blow it all up right now, change at the helm right now, I just think you're going to set yourself back a lot further because Alcorn's coming. Alcorn is loaded. And if you're not careful, Southern's got a championship roster. If you're not careful, you could be the 4th best team in the West out of 6 teams. And then you're really looking up and you're really going to have a hard time digging yourself out of the hole.
If Forbes had made a decision when Dooley left to hire an offensive coordinator, we would not be in this situation. Forbes has not taken responsibility as the head coach. We've gone through 3 seasons now of being mediocre. I am not willing to accept 2 more full years of being mediocre with Forbes. He either do it this fall or we buy him out. That's simple. Other schools buy people out, buy him out. He's not worth keeping. Even on his own, he should leave if he doesn't have a good year. If he gets that for the money, we don't need him.
Okay. Well, I hear what you're saying, Charles. And you know, if those things were done before, I mean, but that's what running a program is for. You have to, if you can't evaluate and see where things are falling short, then that's on you. You know, so if he didn't feel that replacing, or when Jonathan Williams left, we went in and got an injured Javante Kincaid. That could have been totally different. I want you all to understand, Javante Kincaid was on crutches when we signed him.
Sure did.
Okay, I want y'all to understand that he was on crutches. That could have been totally, it could have been gone a totally different way. Let's just say if he wasn't on crutches, I heard he had plans to go elsewhere. So that was, you know, that's a fall in your lap kind of thing. It worked out. It was awesome. But I don't call getting Kincaid a big coup, because if he would have not been injured, he may have never stepped foot on this campus and played those 2 years, the 2 great years that he played for us. So I'm saying is you have to build a program. If he wants to build them on junior college transfer guy, as long as he's winning, no one's going to say anything. But if you're not winning, you know, I remember when Melvin Spears brought in a lot of JUCO guys and transfer guys. They talked about him like a dog. I mean, they read him up and down the rails for doing it. But it seems like nothing is being said now. Everything is quiet now. So, you know, I just think you can't blame the coach. Knew what was going on back then, and he could have made changes to what was going on back then. So now it seems like we want to hurry up and get. No, we had time. You know, when Dooley, like the guy said, when Dooley left, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019. You know, there was time. So why he did not pull the trigger on, you know, Orlando, on Nelson, don't know. But I just don't think the people at large are going to take another loss to a team, you know, to Dooley at Prairie View, even though he's not really doing much after he beats us. I don't think they're going to take too kindly to that. I don't think they're going to take too kindly to now. You're talking about a Southern team that has a new coach, a new coach in a new position, along with the rest of the game. Not just, you know, I'm just not saying about the Bayou Classic, but you know, we're talking about on 3-game losing streaks to to those 2 teams. Nobody else we're losing to like that. You know, even Alcorn. I mean, we've pretty much had Alcorn's number. You know, ever since McNair was there, we basically had his number. So, you know, but we've got to be prepared. And we see, I'm not saying just because you see other people with, you know, stuff being in the media, we have to match what they're doing. No, I'm not saying we have to go out and do what Deion's doing or whatever, other than recruiting. Yeah, other than recruiting. I think that we need to recruit better. And I know, going back to the question we had before, everybody says that, some people say that there's not recruiting budgets. Well, nobody's been really hitting the streets and going and flying places in the past year. Everybody's been online doing stuff, whatever the NCAA will allow, whether it be text, whether it be Zoom calls, emails, whatever that is. Well, everybody's been faced with doing that same thing for the past year. So, what are we gonna, what has that resulted in? So, as much as I would like to think that conventionally time would be needed, because the same people could say, well, did we look back and did we give other coaches time? Did we give other coaches time to turn it around? No, we did not. Not saying that was right, that the firing of those coaches was right, but we did not give it. So I don't know. Go ahead, Sean.
I want to kind of echo on that same point. We're talking about the offensive coaches and stuff and the team of the offense.
We're talking about the whole gamut now. We're just
Okay.
opened up now.
Well, you said it earlier about the defense. I totally agree with that. It's been massive. Offensively, with this guy Eric Martin's coming, I looked at his resume. Now, to me, he has 4 dudes. We had 3 dudes on his resume: offensive coordinator, quarterback coach, and offensive line coach. I saw that on his resume. So it's going to be hard to coach 3 positions. Let's just be real about that. It's going to be real hard. I don't know who who the offensive line coach is going to be. I remember one time I read it was a tight ends coach or something. I don't know if that's true or not, but we've got to get an offensive line coach on the whole offensive side. I hope Marty has a revamp plan, but it starts with recruiting. Recruiting. That's it. It starts with recruiting. I go back to my Etna Carr statement. UAPB got 9 players from Etna Carr. We got a Grambling graduate. That's my thing I talked about last time. Not only that, we've got around the gamut of people that could help us, alumni, everybody. The recruiting card, I'm sorry, was sorry. I'm just going to call it. It was horrible. We sent stuff from Peabody. We sent stuff from everywhere. No return there. Just, guys, I appreciate you sending us something. It didn't work. We didn't get any response. But Grambling has to go back to what we know. And number one, this guy coming in, maybe the savior, but we don't have time. We was 0-4, could have been 1-5 this spring. Coming into this fall, the schedule, if you look at the schedule again, let's be real serious about it. 0-3 starting off. May be wrong. But then we get to the SWAC schedule. That's going to be difficult because everybody on the west side is better now. If Valley comes up, everybody is better. So we're going to have to be better and more efficient, be ground ball. There's no patience. I'm sorry. It's not going to have, we don't have patience, not at ground. Let's just be real about it. 1-5 last time. Now, possibly 0-3. We're not patient. Charles, I like what you did say. That is a realistic thing. I like that, Charles. But we don't have the patience. We don't have the patience. We're not out. I'm not going to tease you. We're not out. We don't have the patience.
Oh, come on.
We're not winning at 800%. I'm giving that as credit. We're not winning 800%. We're not doing that now. So we don't have the patience.
Yeah. We're not going to sit around like Alcorn and go 20 years in between another championship. I mean,
I get that.
No, we don't have the patience. No. And Charles, I'm just making a dig, but you're grabbing, man. But I'm just saying, we don't have the patience. We don't have the patience, Ray. So we got to turn this thing around. Marty May can do it. I hope he does. But I'm like you, Ray. Defense side has to be addressed.
Yeah, and so I think that on the same note, it could all turn out for the better.
Right.
It could turn out for above. And I know technically 6-5 and 5-5 or whatever is a winning, a non-losing season. I'm sorry, that doesn't float it. 6-5 doesn't,
No.
That doesn't float it. I'm talking about 8 and something, 9 and something.
9 and 2.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Exactly.
Not gonna happen.
Exactly.
Not gonna happen.
And my point is, anything short of that is just going to be hard, I think, for the people that are in charge to justify keeping them around. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. And I know there are others that don't share that same sentiment. That's understandable. But it's just I just don't see it. I just don't.
We can't afford it, right? Can't afford it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some people think that we have to afford it, and that's fine. I mean, yeah, pay the coach, You know,
Yeah, I agree with paying the coach if he win it. Yeah.
And I'm saying but the Bob's contract says that we don't pay him if he win or lose. It's either or. It doesn't matter what he does. He's still going to get the same amount of money. So, it's going to have to be a concerted effort. And I still encourage people. Don't get me wrong. I want people to go out and support the program. I want people to give money. I want them to buy season tickets. I want them to travel to games. I want them to be there supporting the program and the programs, because I will be there as much as I can. And I hope that you all will be there as much as you can, because the bottom line is, regardless of who the coach is, regardless of the players, Graham is going to sustain through all of that. And we need the support of the alumni and friends to be there for the university through the good and the bad times.
Yeah.
It's easy to support when you're winning, and I get it. But buying season tickets helps. That's, I think, the minimum as far as athletic support that you can do is season tickets if you can. If you don't go, I understand you people living far away and can't make any game but homecoming. That's
Send
fine.
money.
Still buy season tickets. Ask if there's a giveaway program where you can give it to some kids or to a department or whatever. There's somebody who I know who I think Charles may not remember, but Adrena Walton, she donates tickets. I know she does it because I pick them up for her. So I know she does it. So, there are other people there, people that are doing their part, and I appreciate that. Everybody doesn't want to do that. I get it. So, giving the way that you can, however you can, how often as you can. But, we're going to have good and bad seasons. Don't just not be real. We're not going to win every year, and we're not going to lose every year, but please support the program. Go ahead, Charles.
Can I add another dynamic to the whole athletic director coach piece? Okay, so typically the way it works in athletics, when a new athletic director is hired, they're going to evaluate the whole program, especially the money-making programs. Okay, so the whole thought of it's time to move on from Bob's, with a new athletic director, he's going to be evaluated pretty hard. So anyone that wants him out, the politics, and this is what I call getting swept up in the politics, because a new AD is going to want his own coach. That's the way it works. So that's the other dynamic you got to look at too. I personally think the contract should be written out. I think we should let it go in 2022. But I know there's a lot of people. I see Tyrone shaking his head. You probably could make a change right now if it was possible. But a new athletic,
I would.
Yeah, a new athletic director is going to be in charge of that. And so whoever that person is going to evaluate the football program, because that's the moneymaker. And if things don't work out in the fall, a new AD, I don't know when an AD is supposed to be on board, July 1, I think is what I read. That, I think it could be a make or break regardless of what any of us think, because a new AD is going to want that right away. And so I think the politics of that position and the football coach is going to all collide at some point during the course of the fall anyway.
Well, I have with y'all, we've had 3 down years. 3. This would be 4. How many seasons does it take? I mean, if you're the head coach, his legacy. I mean, where would he go if he left Grambling, if he lose 5 years in a row? Who would take him as a head coach?
Somebody will take him. Somebody will take him.
Another HBCU, yeah.
Yes.
Good riddance.
Somebody will take him because of what, I mean, this is what I look at. When he took over the program, the year before, there was the protest, then you had the muscle milk and all that mess. He salvaged the program and brought it back to respectability. Well, now he's got another situation. And now I think he should have the opportunity to fix it. Now, if he doesn't, then a change will be made, because you got a new AD coming in. Okay, well,
here's how I look at that. You have to look at the dynamic. I hate when people say the save thing. He took over a young program. The guys were freshmen and sophomores. Those guys, when they finished, those guys played in at least 2 championships before they left Grambling, those same freshmen that he took over from, they ended up winning. They were key responsible for playing in those championship games. Okay, the majority of those players, with the exception of Martez Carter, with the exception of Kincaid, those were somebody else's players. And I understand that he coached them. Don't get me wrong. I understand he coached them under a different type of system, and that's fine. But when it was on him to have his players, the people he recruited, the people who he went after, the people who his coaches went after and recruited, that's where the decline started. And it hasn't, and it hasn't been time to. There hasn't been any change from that time. Have we let a coach go since that time? Since every coach that left on their own. We haven't fired a coach. I think Nelson was the first coach, theoretically, that was fired. It's question, jury's still out on the whole thing with Nord. He left the program, or he removed himself from the program, whatever. Orlando resigned. Okay, so there was change. He had the opportunity. Fobbs had the opportunity to make changes. He had the opportunity to make changes if he didn't feel things were going as bad as they were going. Okay, that's his prerogative, no doubt about it. But we're gonna have to understand is that I don't think an AD may have a suggestion for a football coach at Grambling State University, but I don't believe an athletic director is going to realistically be the sole person about choosing who's going to be the football coach. Now, other positions, yes, but football coach at Grambling, that's going to be a difficult thing to just kind of unilaterally do. I don't think any athletic director be unilaterally allowed to make a football coaching decision like that at Grambling. I just don't see it. Maybe at other schools, but I just don't see it at Grambling.
Well, that's the aspect I guess I'm trying to figure out in dealing with Mr. Gallo, and I don't know all those dynamics between like you mentioned, but typically the athletic director does recommend who the football coach is going to be, and if he's going to be, I know they have a search firm in place to kind of recommend a name, but if that person's going to be given the power to evaluate the program, and if Fobbs doesn't make it, then I think any athletic director is going to rub their hands together and say, okay, it's time to get in my Rolodex and see who I can find as a coach. I don't know if there's going to be a committee. I don't know if it's going to be solely up to the athletic director. I've been a part of both of those kind of deals. But I mean, that's going to be an interesting dynamic to see if that happens, because I agree, this is a critical time. And should it have been done a couple of years ago? Probably. But I think Grambling was probably, in my mind, winning enough to where it didn't warrant any change. But now it's just blown up all at one time. So now you're trying to pick up the pieces at one time, and it doesn't happen as fast as people think it's going to happen.
Well, I think the same people who are saying, some people who are saying it's going to take time, and I know it takes time. I'm not lost on that concept, but my train of thought is the time should have started before this time, not now. The time to change was before, when, I don't think 6-5 is winning for us. That's not winning for us. And whether it be their games, and I understand the dynamic of how the ball bounces in sports. A ball bouncing one way could get you a win, and the bounce another way can get you a loss. I understand that. I'm not lost on that. But I think people are saying that the time to change was before and not now. It seems like all of a sudden now it's kind of, we're kind of making rash decisions because we're up against the fence on things. And now it seems like, okay, it's a do or die, because it is. But it could have been, the change could have happened gradually before, or even suddenly before, to where these sorts of things could have been hashed out before we got to this point. Because I think at this point, we're at the end. We're not at the beginning. We're at the end. So again, one person's opinion, I have no authority. I have no pull. And contrary to popular belief, I'm not trying to get Broderick Fobbs fired because I can't get Broderick Fobbs fired. So anybody else have any questions on anything that we've been talking about?
Those long trips from Baton Rouge to Grambling, those hotel fees or whatever to sit there and watch us lose, that's not, I mean, that's money out of our pockets. Grambling sitting where it sits, and the alumni got to come from Houston, got to come from Dallas, got to come from Baton Rouge, got to come from New Orleans. That's money and that's time, and those long trips back after a loss are not very good.
Yeah. And to talk on what Tyrone said, there's enough people in Lincoln Parish in a 60-mile radius of Grambling enough to support this university. And that's why I'm saying, as far as what can be done to get people together. And I know we know winning does it, but even when we were winning, let's be real about it. Even when we were winning, we did not have, the numbers were not so substantial from the losses. I don't have it pulled up, but I've looked over it many, many years. There have been some times, I remember we were going through the boycott year. Our numbers rivaled our 7-4 wins, our 7-4 seasons, or something like that. So it can't always be wins and losses. What is it? You know, Lincoln Parish has, you know, enough people. Washita Parish, Monroe, Shreveport, El Dorado, Alexandria, 160, 100-mile radius. There's enough people in that proximity that can get to the game and get back home in an hour or so. Why are people not supporting the university? Why are they not supporting the football team or whatever sport that goes on? Is it communication? Do we not know when the game is going on? Or the ticket price is too high? Or are we kind of lazy? You know, don't want to go to the game, we just expect to win. What is it? I mean, we say, well, it depends on who we're playing. Depends on who we're playing. Okay, well, this schedule this year, you know, and the ones to come are gonna be like the schedules from the 70s and 80s.
Yes, sir.
You know, we got Bethune and FAMU. Bethune-Cookman has, you know, when they came back a couple years ago and beat us at home, but FAMU hasn't been on our campus in years. They haven't had step foot on this campus in years. The last couple of times we played them have been in classics and stuff like that. So, you know, is that going to be enough to get people out in 2022 when we play them at home? You know, I hope it turns out. But I think that we should be supporting the team regardless of who we're playing. We could be playing Langston or some of the lesser schools, or what they call, you know, homecoming cupcakes or whatever. We should be supporting the teams all the time, not just when we think that there's a good team that's going to be there or a good game or whatever. If Grambling is playing, we should be there. I just feel that way. That's the way it should be. Any thoughts on that?
I agree.
Well, no.
But we got to get a good brand of football, right? Nobody. Look, I'm a supporter just like we all are on this call, but like Tyrone said earlier, them drives from Baton Rouge gets real long when you're not seeing a good brand of football on the field too. So that's why I'm cautiously optimistic on this brand of football we might see in 2021 in the fall. But I think it's gonna be even better if we have that same coaching staff with some more players on the roster in 2022. That's just my personal feeling.
Okay. Was that Charles? Was that Charles? Charles, go ahead.
Yeah, as a Gramblinite, I hope to see it as well. But I've also been around this league long enough to know that more times than not, it's just not going to happen that quickly. You have gutted your entire offensive staff, OC, quarterbacks coach. I didn't even mention offensive line coach. I forgot about that. Your whole offensive staff, you have turned it over. You got a freshman quarterback. You got a new system. It's going to take time. And I know he doesn't have time. I know fans don't have time. I get it. But it's what we think and is what's reality. And the reality is it's just not going to happen that fast. And if the defense doesn't get any better, it's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. So buckle up is what I'm saying. Unless, to me, I'm more concerned about the defense more so than the offense. The offense is being gutted, but the defense, I never thought the defense would be this bad, giving up 50 against Pine Bluff, giving up 27 second half points in the 2019 Bayou Classic. I didn't see that coming. Jackson State, I didn't see that coming. The defense is what needs to work because defense wins championships. And until that gets fixed, it's going to be hard.
Okay, so piggybacking on what you just said, whose responsibility is it of the defense?
DC.
Overall.
The head coach.
The head coach.
The head coach.
Okay.
Yeah.
The head coach, he has to know, he looks at the same stats that we look at. You know, he's looking at, 350 yards. He's looking at 400 yards a game against bad teams. I ain't talking about the good teams. I'm talking about just average teams of putting up, 400 and 500, 400, 350, 375 to 400 points. I'm sorry. We can, again, like somebody says, if we score 35 points a game, we still might lose because the defense is going to give up 36, 37, 38. So, but again, if nothing is done, what do we expect to really happen if nothing is done to that? Now, we may score more points. Yes, absolutely. I hope we do. But if nothing is done to prevent the other team from scoring points, what have we done? What have we done? And I do know, don't get me wrong, with as much change as there was on offense to make that much change on defense, traumatic. But, that defense, I'm telling you, is just, it's rough.
You don't like the 3-3-5?
What?
You don't like the 3-3-5?
Man, don't give me. No, but you still
Wait a minute now. Let's be real, Ray.
You have to tackle. You still have to tackle.
Yeah, you still have to tackle.
You still have to tackle people. Whatever defense that you're in, you still have to tackle it. Okay. So let's just get that right. We have to tackle them. We haven't been doing it. We just haven't been doing a good job. And some of it's talent, some of it's coaching. I think the majority of it is both. They're both equally to blame. Some people say strength and conditioning. Okay, we could throw that in there as well. But all I see is,
Ray,
when I question people, let me finish right quick.
Okay, finish that. Go ahead, Ray.
When I see the first three series of the Bayou Classic, and I see 3 straight scores, and we want to talk about getting people off the field. Well, 3 straight scores, everybody's fresh. 3 straight scores. It's not a fourth quarter, defense is hanging on by a thread, that kind of thing. It's first quarter. So go ahead, Greg.
Come on, Ray. Come on there. Them boys out man in the Bayou Classic. Them guys was playing against what I consider, although Southern lost, UAPB, they was playing against a very good football team that was strong in the trenches. But guys, in my career, I never coached college ball, but I have coached. They are good coaches. They are very good coaches, and they are outstanding coaches. Those are your 3 caliber coaches. Good, very good, and outstanding. When you don't have a very good, talented football team, you have to have outstanding coaches. If you have a talented football team, all you need is a good coach. But if you don't have a very good football team, you need an outstanding coach. Let me break it down to what I'm talking about. When you're coaching, you don't have a class to teach. So you're sitting there all day watching film, and you're sitting there all day getting ready for a game, looking at what the other team is doing offensively or defensively. And my issue is, if I'm a coach, whether I'm offense or defense, if you're offensive coach, you're looking at ways to attack the other team's defense at their weakest point. If you're a defensive coach, you're looking at a way to attack that offensive team at their weakest point. So going into that game on Saturday, I'm going into this game to take away what you do best. This is my whole thing. He's got to do something else. He ain't gonna beat me doing what he's been doing. On defense, he gonna beat me today, but he ain't gonna beat me with his favorite plays. I'm gonna stop those. I don't understand how in the world guys, this just me talking, coaches go out, like Ray just said, the first series, and they do what you've seen for the whole week for 50 hours looking at it, And they are successful doing what you've already seen on tape. Because I'm sitting in the stands, I know what they're going to do. Because I've seen enough ball games of people, enough of it on YouTube. So they're going to run trap 22. They're going to run a sweep. They're going to run the quarterback draw. It's there. And if you can't even stop the plays you've seen them prepare for the whole week, you're in trouble. We're not talking about game time adjustments. Let's don't get into that. I don't even want to get into that part. I'm talking about the first 3 or 4 series. Bubba, Julio, or the white, black, blue, or brown has no business running his good stuff and being successful, and I had a whole week to get ready for him. That shouldn't happen. When you're playing a 4-3 or 4-2-5 or 3-3. What I don't see us doing at Grambling the last couple of years, especially, I don't see us taking away anything that the other team do best. And sometimes what we've done, guys, and let's just call a spade, and sometimes what we've done is just plain old ridiculous. You cannot be up 21-3 against Southern with 2 minutes to go in the first half or 3 minutes to go in the first half, and it's 3rd and 20, and you playing man-to-man on the outside. I don't understand that. I don't understand that. You can play cover 2, you can play cover 3. Why are you playing man-to-man on the outside with a freshman cornerback with 2 minutes to go at halftime, and you're up 21-3? I don't see, that was the kind of thing that blow my mind. I'm looking at Shreveport and I say, oh man, we got something. It's 3rd and 13. 3rd and 13. We get the ball back. We're only behind 3-0. Maybe this will get a guy some energy. The guy run a 14-yard pattern and get a first down. I'm looking right at in front of me.
I saw that.
Back to the sideline, said, I'm talking to him. Why the hell did you talk to him before they complete the play? These are things that I see from the stands and watching the game, and I'm already watching it, and I'll tell Ray sometimes during the week, guys, I'm telling y'all, I used to go to practice during the week of days of Doug Williams and Melvin Spears, and even when Broad was there. And Ray and I would talk on Thursday. I would tell Ray what the score of the game would be and probably whether or not we win or not. The days of Melvin and Bruce Eugene, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, I never thought we was gonna lose on Saturday based on when I came out of the film room with them guys on Wednesday and Thursday and saw the game playing. I just didn't see no way we was gonna lose. I just no way possible because you have to play Melvin from sideline to sideline the whole game. And if y'all know his interviews. They get on, well, Coach Spears, why do you keep running up the score? Well, tell the other team quit scoring. They quit trying to score on me. I quit trying to score on them. Y'all know Melvin said that.
Yes.
This is where we are right now. In my opinion, this is where we are right now at Grambling. We have to get in some players, and coaches got to coach. And God knows, I'm trying to say this in a way where I want to stay professional. I don't understand when the team needs the head coach the most, when they're in trouble and he's down on the sideline, 8-10 yards from them with his arm folded. I don't understand that. I've never seen Nick Saban. I've never seen Ed Orgeron. I've never seen the coach from Alcorn not engage his team when they're in trouble, man. When you're in trouble, you gotta run to mom and daddy or somebody. Go in the huddle if you don't do nothing but say, come on, team, let's get it together. But we done posted stuff on Facebook and somebody just did one other day. You got a timeout. And I didn't see a coach in the huddle. I asked who was that in the huddle, and they said, oh, that's a grad assistant. A grad assistant in the Bayou Classic? And that's coach is, and I ask people all the time, and God knows I don't mean no harm. I said, what is he looking at? Is somebody in the sky got his attention? If the time, brothers, and I'm saying this, the deacon and church approach, you can be cool all you want to, got no problem with that. But when your team needs you, you got to get in there, man. You got to get in there with them. You got to get dirty. You got to let these, I know you love your players, God knows, but there's a time you got to get up in that hole, man, and get a little grit and get a little dirt and get a little fight going on your team. We will never win not playing with some emotion. Football is an emotional game, a very emotional game. You're up and you're down, you're up and you're down. I watched Sam Houston Saturday, I'm gonna get off Ray when I say this. They playing James Madison, whipping them all the first half, whipped them like they had never seen a football. And they got one interception. one interception, and that fired that team up. They go down and get 3 touchdowns in a row. And they win that game in the fourth quarter because they got fired up after they thought they was going to lose that game. You can turn this thing around, man, but the leader, this stuff starts with leadership. I love Coach Forbes. I gave him his first job when he was in high school, but at the end of the day, man, I like the brother just said, I can't go down the road and keep paying $700, $800, $900. I already looked at the Bayou Classic parking. It's $45 a day. I can't take a family of 4 down there and spend $1,200 or $1,300 and get my tail whipped because we didn't even look like we had prepared for that game. Ray, that's going to kill us because the people that's supporting you is not going to continue to spend that kind of money because you have to, in this day and time, guys, you got to put that kind of money in your budget. You just can't get your paycheck and do that. People going to stop doing it, Ray, and you're right. People going to stop coming. And I'm not going to stop, but there are people that I know that's not as strong as I am that can't sit through that. But like I told y'all last week, guys, this is the first time I ever got up and walked out of a Grambling game before halftime. I've never done that in my whole life because I couldn't take it no more. And I left the stadium. And what's going to happen, there are some people, if we don't start back winning, guys, we're going to lose a lot of fans that we got right now because Grambling is not Alcorn. It is not Alabama State or Jackson. The expectations at Grambling is going to be high if you hire E.T. tomorrow to be the head coach. It just, Coach Rob just set that bar so high, man. As Coach Hobday set it so high. You take old school guys like me, that stuff is in our blood, man. You cut us, a G gonna fall out. We will talk when practice over at 4 o'clock. You still stay there and practice on your own. I don't see the drive. I don't see it anymore. But it's like I said, brothers, and I'm gonna shut down right now. It's still gonna come from leadership at the top. Thank you, Ray.
Okay.
Hold up. Can I cut in?
Yeah, go ahead, bro.
Let me say something. I came in here a little late, and I noticed y'all have gotten off on the winning and losing football game. You know what? I guess what mystifies me is a lot of Grambling people I talk about getting back on the winning track. Grambling winning because we're Grambling. Now, this is what I don't understand. I don't know if some of y'all look at it and y'all think we win just because we are Grambling. You still have to properly evaluate talent when you see it. You can't coach bad players in a good players. Bad coaches can't coach guys in a good play. They can't do good games. So you got to have a good staff. Well, what mystifies me about our staff, when I look at the staff and I look at all the staff, compare them all. Look at our staff and where they come, and then you look at when Coach Rob was there, our staff always, when you looked at man to man, person to person, they were always the most qualified staff in the conference. You look at our staff now, and I know you have to start from somewhere, but we got a staff now that I don't think a single coach has even been in the NFL staff as a free agent. I've never seen that before at Grant. When you go all the way on from the defensive side, from everyone that coach, it's not a single coach I can think of been a free agent in any camp. On the offensive side, the same. I don't know a single one been a free agent. Like the ones we got rid of, like Nord and I think Coach Nelson was a free agent or possibly played, but I know Coach Nord has been the NFL camp, but we'll replace them by guys that got less playing experience and less experienced coaches at a higher level, and we're expecting to win. Can y'all help me figure out what besides prayer that's going to help us?
Nope.
We're not going to win just because we're Grambling. Because we've been Grambling, but we've had some behind being Grambling. We had guys like, I see Herm Harvey on here. We've had pros on our team. We had great recruits on our team with great coaching staffs, guys who had been great players at Grambling. They knew what it took, and they knew how to sell Grambling. We're going away from that, and I don't know. Besides prayer, I'm just trying to figure out how y'all expect we're gonna win.
Okay, appreciate that, Gary. Linda, you have something to say?
Yes, I do.
Go
I
ahead.
was noticing one big problem that I noticed for the past 2 or 3 games. Grambling has a discipline problem. Our players are not disciplined. If you notice the players, their attention was more toward the stands than on the field. When the coaches was talking to them, their eyes was everywhere except in that hole. It's awful. We need some discipline on the field.
Okay. All right, appreciate that. Appreciate that. And I guess for clarity, Herman RV played pro ball. If I'm not mistaken, it was the last offensive lineman Grambling had that was drafted. If I'm not, is that correct, Herman? He's the last offensive lineman that Grambling had drafted. So not to tell his age, but that's been a while. that's been a while, So and I'm not trying to put Herman in any awkward position, but my goodness, you got a guy that got drafted as an offensive line player, and we got a position open for offensive line coach. My goodness, but I'm not going to try to, I'm just, that's just common sense. That's just common sense thinking. That's what people that are in this call are saying, okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's just common sense. So, I just, that's why we question stuff, and I'm not one of the ones that sit back and say this, well, whatever they want to do and whatever. Yes, coaches are the ones that's getting paid to coach. Absolutely. I don't want to coach Grambling football. Okay. But I do travel up and down the highway. I do spend money. I encourage others to do the same. So if that's the case, then as Mr. Bridges said, that money, people gonna start looking at their budget like, man, I'm not gonna keep doing the same thing over. I'm not gonna keep driving down the highway, spending money, and this kind of thing. Yes, a lot of things have to change. Our fans' perspective has to change. Our fans' reality has to change. Coaching, players, administration, alumni, support, everything is going to need to change for the better in order for, to Grambling to even get your level. And it's not anything that's going to happen in 4 months. The fall 2021 is not going to determine the fate of all of Grambling. Grambling will survive. We'll go on. One way or the other, we will do that. Every coach past that has coached since Coach Robinson has won at least one championship. So it's not like it's not going to happen. We can do it. But, I don't want anybody to be under any illusion that this is going to be something that's going to be easy. And there's probably more than likely, and I hope I'm wrong. Nothing will make me happier to be wrong on this. But, if we can win 4 games out of this season, I think that's probably the best that we're going to be able to do. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But
if you win 4 games, the cries are going to be even louder.
Yes.
They're going to be even louder than what it is right now. So 4 wins.
For what?
I mean, you have
louder for what?
Well, because the expectations are so high. You go from nothing in the spring, if you want to count that, to 4 wins, and as we know, that's not Grambling winning 4 games.
Right.
So now you got a coach on his last year of his deal. Do you ride it out to 2022, or do you make a change in 2021 and the fall of 2021? Bring in another coach, pay off fobs, pay off a whole staff. You already see that he is already good at the offensive side of the ball. Every position coach is gone. So now you're rebuilding that side of it. That's going to take some time. So 4 wins, I could see that, but that's not going to be good enough for everyone on this panel.
No,
it's not going to be good enough.
Yeah, and
there might be a call for a change during the season if things go sideways.
And that's very well could be the case. And it's not like it's unprecedented. So with us. So yeah, that could be that. And so, we have to be prepared for every eventuality. It's something that may happen, but we definitely have to be able to withstand whatever happens and still be able to persevere as a support base and as a university. So if he continues on, fine. If he doesn't continue on, fine. I think we're going to have to do what we have to do. But I don't think that we should be. I don't think that. I'm not just trying to say that we got a bunch of money laying around, but I'd be willing to bet you that if there was, if people wanted to get that money together, I'm pretty sure they could. If they wanted to, but they may not want to, and that's fine. In order to what they say, buy Coach Bob's out. I'm not giving anybody money to go away. I'm giving you gonna still be on my campus. That's my opinion. I'm not gonna give you money and send you home. No, because once you have your money, then you can go turn around and coach somewhere else.
Yes.
No, I'm not gonna do that. You're gonna be under your contract, and if you decide you want to coach somewhere else, your contract says something else. Then we'll look at it then. I'm just gonna send you home and send you on a vacation. No, that's my opinion. That's just my opinion. But I'm not sending nobody home with that kind of money at all. Any kind of money. It doesn't have to be. It could be 100,000. I'm not sending you home. I'm definitely not doing that. So, anybody have anything that they want to talk about? Any questions that they want to talk specifically?
Right.
Go ahead.
On the offensive side of the ball,
yeah,
I am impressed with what I've seen as far as formations and his style of attack from the offensive coordinator. I am impressed with what I've been looking at. Also, I'm impressed with the offensive line coach that we hired. I went back and pulled up the last 4 years of where he's coached at.
Wait, hold up. So you talking about Eric Marty?
Yeah, I'm talking about the OC now. I moved now to the offensive line coach we hired.
Oh, so we've hired the offensive line coach?
Well, that's what it said.
Oh, who said that?
I saw it. I saw it on Facebook.
Uh-oh. Did you see it on Did you see it on the university website?
No, I didn't see it there, but we've hired offensive line coach.
So let me
tell you this. Somebody put on there and said, this guy is coming to Grambling. And I went back and looked at ULL's athletic website, and the guy is no longer listed with ULL football team.
Okay.
All I know is they said this guy's coming to Grambling. They put a lot of stuff out there. I went back and looked, and he's no longer as part of the ULL staff. He's not there. And they say he's coming to Grambling. So I pulled him up. I can't pull him up. But I'm just going to be honest with you. I went back and looked at the last 4 teams where he's been. And they are able, he came from University of Texas San Antonio. He didn't go with Frank Wilson and McNeese because part of Frank's contract was with them people down there. They wanted him to keep that DC. So he's worked there. I'm sorry, I'm getting that mixed up with the guy from Southern. Let me go back. This guy that's coming in as offensive line coach is considered, like I'm saying, all this is on paper, he's considered a big dog. He's considered a guy that don't play around. He's considered a guy that teaches his guys how to block and be mean and nasty.
So are you referencing Bryant Ross?
Yes, that his name?
Yes.
Okay, then well, help me out, Ray.
Okay. See, again, sometimes I have information and I'm just trying
I'm just trying to tell you what I heard. I heard that he's nasty and he's a hell of a damn offensive line coach. And that he just will not give up very easily. And if they're able to get something out of him whereby his offensive line can produce and keep our defense off the field so much with 3 and outs, we may be okay here. You guys,
but what's okay?
But Greg,
what's okay?
When you say okay, that's don't get me wrong. The offensive line has been a big thing for us. In
my opinion, we haven't had what I consider a good offensive line since Broadway left. We've had adequate offensive line.
Okay.
We've had a line that got by. But I'm
Okay.
talking about Frank. If you look at what his name was, Frank Warren's senior year, and you can on 3rd and 13, you can run the ball and pick up a first down. That's offensive line. That's what I'm talking about right there. 3rd and 10, you don't pass the ball, you can run it for a first down. That's offensive line. We haven't had one of them kind of offensive line in a long time, but I'm thinking that this guy now, I'm leaving some hope out of here, that this guy's a grunt hog. He's a hog. And he gonna make some hogs out of our team up there. And if we can run the ball some and keep that defense off the field, we may be able to get better game after game after game. And I'm just looking at it from a coaching standpoint, that game one, you ought to be better in game 2 than you were in game 1. And if they can come out in game 1 and we can see some of these things that may be good, we may be a little shocked here that we may win more than 5 or 6 games. It depends on how well he can develop that old line and how well they can execute there. But that's the question mark to me. If this guy able to produce an above average offensive line, we may be able to compete in this thing in 2021 and with other things that we're doing. And that's what I'm resting at. If this guy can be effective, I think we're gonna be okay.
Well, I don't know what you mean by okay, because my idea, like I think I mentioned earlier, three wins, 4 wins. I don't see, even if we improve on the offensive line, that's still not stopping somebody from
Let me tell you like this, Ray. You got a quarter tank of gas. We're gonna go from a quarter tank to a half a tank. All right, we still got more than what we had. That's all I'm saying.
What is that gonna?
We didn't win a single ball game this spring. We look bad at the Bayou Classic, and I'm just telling you guys, if the one you took to the prom and she ain't the one, you ought to try something different the next year.
Okay, so the question is then, okay, so Grambling obviously didn't get it done in the spring. What would it take to quiet people down somewhat? 4 wins, 5 wins,
7.
I'm not.
To be honest with you, to be honest with you guys, and I'm talking about here. I'm talking about a guy I love, Graham. If we come out on that field and we give this thing 100%, God knows, I'm telling you the truth. If we get this thing 100% and I see fire this team and competitiveness out of this team, if they don't win a single game, I'll stay with them because I'm watching it. At some point, it's got to change. The problem with us is we need to accept. We don't see competitiveness down there. We don't see guys who really want it. We don't see guys who say, "Hey, man, coach, put me in." We don't see that no more. If I see a team prepared, play hard for 4 quarters, and when I leave, I can just say the other team, man, was just better than us, and I'm happy with that. But I can't take it when Higginbottom, a 5th-year quarterback, with 1 minute to go in the game, and you running a hurry-up offense on first down. What in the hell is going on? I'm screaming from the stands, call timeout, coach. The team unorganized, call timeout. I saw that's all right there. If they don't stop, something bad gonna happen here. And he takes the Higginbottom, the strongest guy on your team, a 5th-year quarterback, and you take the ball out of his hands and give to somebody else. You know, Michael Jackson daddy told him, don't you never get his mic up. Higginbottom should have played this, no matter what they call, he should just cut that ball and score that touchdown. And like somebody just said, if we win Jackson and win Prairie View, I bet you this whole conversation we talking about might have been.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Hey,
that's exactly right.
But the thing is, that's true. We may not be talking about certain aspects, but as you know, as we've discussed on Go Grambling plenty of times, that we felt that the recruiting hasn't been what it needs to be, and we definitely saw a decline and are seeing declines in that. So as you're right, yes, if we were 1 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and whatever, absolutely. And those first 2 games were winnable games for us. Pine
Yes,
Bluff was not a
I agree with
winnable
you,
game.
Ray. I agree with you.
Yeah,
You're right.
Pine Bluff was not a winnable game for us, but yes,
No, not at all.
yeah, there was no way.
But hold up, but wait a minute. Okay, I'm gonna push back on that. Pine Bluff wasn't. I think if they beat Jackson, if they don't fumble the ball on the 1 yard line, they beat Jackson State. Okay, so you go from that. The momentum of that win right there could carry you into a win over Prairie View, could carry you to a win over Pine Bluff. Who knows where Grambling might have been if they win that. I think that Jackson game took a lot of air out of the sails.
Yeah.
And when you're winning, a lot of those ills get covered up. When you're losing, it all gets exposed.
Right, and you're right, and it also could not have. It also could not have done that. So I agree with you. It could have happened. We could have turned the whole season around, absolutely, but it also could not have turned. It could have really ended up being 2-2.
Now, Ray, let's just be honest here. Let's call a spade a spade.
You know I will.
I just think this is just me talking, guys. If we don't lose that defensive end again, the Bayou Classic, and we don't lose Dominic, I really think we would have won that Bayou Classic. I really do.
Which Bayou class you talking about? 2019?
Yeah, no, one last year. Or lost 21-3. You know, 21-3 that time lead.
2019. Yeah, 2019.
Yeah, we lose that one. And then I think if we win that game, don't we go to the championship game?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
Am I true, right?
Yes.
We
Yes.
go to the championship game now.
Yes.
If we win that game, we go play Alcorn, back down Alcorn again.
Yes.
And we was in that game, and we really should have won that game.
Well, let me correct you on that. If Grambling had beat Southern, the game would have been at Grambling because Alcorn lost to Grambling that year, 19-16.
Okay, appreciate you. Thank you. I would something like that. But I really think that distraction, Ray did just me talking. I think that distraction that week with the defensive end not taking care of his business, which is sort of sad because I work in law enforcement, and Dominique going out getting a drug charge, that just, why? I mean, I don't have an answer to that.
Well, I don't think that is as cookie cutter as it may have been told. But I don't want, I'm not clear on that, so I don't really want to speculate, but I understand that there was not that situation was not as cut and dry as I guess papers or it has been told.
Okay.
And maybe that's something we can talk about, not on the call, but yeah, I mean, there were things, I mean, it's just, we have to get better. We just have to get better. And some of us have a different idea of what that better may be. Some of us agree on what it may be.
Right.
Some people think it's, all we need is a quarterback and they'll solve all of our problems. I'm not that person. I think that we need quarterback and this and that and this and that. It's not just one thing that we need. It's multiple things that we need in order to be very successful, not to win a few games here and there, but to be very successful. And I don't know if we've been in a situation like this where, we've been in a situation where coaches have been on the hot seat, but I don't know if we've been quite in a situation like this. Obviously, we haven't been with the pandemic like it is, but it's going to be some really good, hard decisions that the administration is going to have to look at if things go one way or the other. Obviously, if we win eight games, it's a different situation. Do I think that's going to happen again? No, I do not. No, by no stretch of the imagination do I think that that's going to happen. And I hope that I'm 100% wrong with that. But I just don't think that's going to happen. So on the flip side of that, if we are, again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, that's not going to sit well either. And it has nothing to do with playing Southern Mississippi or the University of Houston. Those games are not going to be the factor, at all. They're just on the schedule. They're not going to be the determining factor if something happens one way or the other. Those are teams that we play. But how we play and the result of that is going to be big. If we getting blown out by 21, 22, 23 points or more.
No,
But if we're losing games by a field goal here and there, and you know, if the game is going down to the fourth quarter, yeah, there may be some, you know, you can pause some things there. But if it's, you know, we're getting beat by, if the game is out of reach in the first half and that kind of thing, you may end up losing the not along with the fans that you may lose, but you may lose the team.
Now Grambling opens up with Tennessee State, right?
Excuse me for a minute.
Yeah.
Who on this call is going to be okay with Grambling playing better, like Mr. Bridges said, get better playing hard, losing 4 straight times to Prairie View and 4 straight times to Southern, and everything remains the same? Who on this call? Tell me who on this call is okay for Coach Dooley to beat us 4 years in a row. Anyone on this call that's okay with
nobody.
that? Even if we play good, play hard. Who's okay with that?
No.
Okay, I was just checking on.
Now Grambling opens up with Tennessee State, right?
That is correct.
Now think about it. Now Tennessee State's coached by Eddie George. Okay.
I'm not. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
Well,
ahead.
no, I'm just saying. I mean, we can debate that whole thing. I know where you're going with it, but that's a game that I would think that Grambling should win.
Right.
That if you win that game, then you're off to a really good start. You can build from there. Now, if you lose that game, then it's going to be all over again.
And how you lose it,
yeah. Grambling should win that game. Period. Against Tennessee State.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know that, man. I'm telling y'all,
hey, I'm not.
Those coaches they bringing in.
Hey, we've been able to beat Tennessee State. That ain't again. But I just
Ray, you don't have. We do not have, guys, a good football team right now. We do not have.
But why do we?
And I'm basing it on what I've seen on.
Right.
Ray, I've shared this with you before, and you guys know it. What are we doing with 5'5" and 5'4" wide receivers? Come on now. 5'4", 5'5", 5'7" receivers. Now watch this here, and I'm gonna lay this on the line. We got one out there that was 6'5", that played almost the whole year last year in the spring. And when we do throw in the ball, we try to throw that little little fade pattern, or whatever. How do you play? How do a kid want to play 4 quarters and they never throw you the football? I mean, I don't understand the mindset of the kid, and I don't understand the mindset of the coach. You got a kid 6'5" on a 5'7" cornerback, and you don't throw him the football for 3 quarters. What? Somebody please explain. Gary, you explained that to me. With me about being competitive. Explain to me these 5'4" receivers that you running a 10-yard curl across the middle. Higginbotham throw it 6 feet in the air, and the boy 5'5" can't get up there and get it. Explain that stuff to me that I'm looking at.
No, I can't. The same thoughts in my head is in yours.
It's in my head.
Okay, but let me ask this question: Why are we so readily easy to give Tennessee State the benefit of the doubt because they play in a different conference?
No, I'm looking at the coaching staff they putting together up there. Okay. They putting together a pretty good coaching staff.
But there's growing pains with that too.
Yeah,
there's growing pains with that too.
Yeah, I mean,
you can have a player that you got to build up and grow up. But outstanding coaching, putting that player in the right position at the right time makes that player look good.
Yeah, well, I think there's going to be like Charles mentioned some growing pains, and there's an opportunity. You know, we're getting some players back that did not play in the spring. There was at least 4 or 5, I think, that did not play in the spring that were actually pretty good. Well, I know one, if he's still going to be on the team, I'm not 100% certain he's still going to be here, but the kid from Arcadia was a pretty good guy. Now, again, I don't know if he's going to be on the team or not, or if he decided to graduate and move on. I'm not sure. But that's just one player. You know, that's just one player. Then there's some others that were that would give us some depth or maybe even some starting spots here and there. But we have to remember that we lost a number of players before the season even started. So we're not talking about just having to replace seniors. We're talking about there's players, at least maybe five or more offensive linemen that we lost before the season started. And you can debate on why those players left, but they're not there. Then we lost running.
Did they opt out?
No, these were not opt-out players. Some of these were not opt-out players. Some of these players transferred and were on other rosters. So then we lost the kid, the running back, who, to me, I would consider our best running back. We lost him right before the season started. So, players leave. We know that. Whether they were forced out, those questions are, those questions, I guess you can ask those players or whatever, but, there's a situation. I know there's every school in the nation has somebody that from their team in the transfer portal. I'm sure everybody does. Every LSU from the Texas to North, everybody's got somebody in there. Everybody's looking to move. Okay, so it could be good or bad. If you're getting in some quality players, that's a good thing. If you're not replacing the players that you had, whether they were good or bad, that's a bad thing. So I guess we'll find out. Crystal, you have something to say?
Yeah, Ray, to be honest with you, I really do like Coach Fobbs. I do think he's a good face for Grambling. He is Graham fam, and needless to say, we just want him to win. But have you tried to set up a meeting? Because to hear you guys speak, it seemed like you had some really good advice. Maybe do like a cigar type Zoom call with them and just sit and talk with them and speak with them, and just try to give you guys, just to get some, because you guys had some good comments and some good feedback, and I think it'd be to our advantage if you share it with them.
Well, I did on the call on the 25th of last month. I invited Coach Fobbs and Rick on the show. So yeah, I did. There was an effort made to reach out to both of them. So I did not get a response either way. So, and I'm okay with that. I mean, because, it's not, that doesn't usually happen. And I'm going to, as a matter of fact, I'm drafting an email to send to Coach Fobbs anyway on another matter. And I'll extend the situation where it's a one-on-one situation, but I want people to hear what's going on. I don't want it to be lost in a private conversation, because I'm open about it. And he may not want to speak on it, and that's fine. I'm not going to down him from not wanting to come on a Zoom call with any and everybody who asked him to. I don't have a problem with that. So, and the same questions that we're things that we're talking about here, and some of them I know he's not going to be able to talk about because their personnel matters. So I get that, but the conversation from especially people who I know on this call won't change. It's gonna be as point blank it's gonna be. It's not gonna change, because the majority of people on this call I've known for 30 plus years. Okay, and they've been straight shooters ever since I've known them, and so and I've seen them in conversations with coaches before. It's not going to change. It's not going to be watered down because of coaches. No, it's not. So, and then I wanted to do that. I wanted to invite them on because I didn't want it to be said that for that very reason. I didn't want it to be said, well, y'all saying all this stuff and not asking them, you all could do that. Okay, we did. So, that's fine. But I think this conversation these conversations are healthy, because again, I am, as I said before, if anybody has looked at any of the posts that I've done since me coming on Facebook, it's about promoting Grambling State University. I'm not going to stop anybody from having their view is not the same as mine. I want to hear it. I don't try to snuff them out. I don't try to disregard them because they have a different opinion of mine. I like to have these exchanges because I like to see things from other people's points of view. So with that being said, these conversations are healthy and are needed, and I think are not some sort of witch hunt to try to call somebody out or make somebody feel bad. These are conversations that people are having. This, to me, like I think I mentioned it before, Facebook is the modern day barbershop and beauty salons, where all these things were happening and talked about in the beauty salon. It was just that there was no way, and the way it got around was it talked about in the beauty shops. You went and talked to your circle of friends, and then you went and talked to your circle of friends. That was Facebook. Okay, in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, that was Facebook. So no, I think that the conversations are healthy. So if the administration and or the football staff need to get some positive PR, then they should create some positive PR. You know, talk about the upcoming season. You know, get out there and put your face out there and let people know that you're disappointed. I know I'm sure, I know Coach Fobbs is not happy with the way the season turned out. Who would be? Okay. But sometimes you have to hear from somebody. And when you don't hear from somebody, it makes it appear that it's acceptable. And I know it's not, but it makes it appear as if it's acceptable and it's okay. So coming out with a season ticket package, you know, getting around to the game. I mean, we're going to some places that we have not been. We're going to, you know, to Tallahassee. We haven't been to Tallahassee in forever. You know, we're going to be going to Daytona. You know, we went to Daytona about 5 or 6 years ago when we'd had that home and home with Bethune. But it's not something that we've done on a regular basis. I think we might have played Bethune-Cookman maybe 5 or 6 times in our history. So, or somewhere around in that area. So, any other comments that anybody want to make about anything? I mean, if the questions you want to ask, this is what I want to ask. No, I don't want to ask the question. No, I don't want to ask because it's over with. But I don't want to ask the question. Any questions that anybody wants to talk about?
Let me state this about everyone on this call has been on these calls and been involved with Grambling, Facebook, or whatever.
Your camera. We can't see you, Gary.
Can't see me? Okay.
No.
There we go.
Okay. All right.
Hang on just a second. Okay.
Like
This is the great part about Grambling. As long as y'all are involved, everybody got their concern. I love that about Grambling. That's what makes Grambling not Mississippi Valley or anything else. As long as you're concerned and you're engaged, Grambling will always come back. Once you stop engaging and getting involved and you don't care, that's when you will be Valley or Pine Bluff. Every 50 years, you'll win. As long as you stay engaged, you're concerned and you're getting your other alumni friends engaged, Grambling will always be Grambling. And I always remember that. Over the years, that is what has separated us. Because when Mississippi Valley had Jerry Rice, they fell out of, they started losing and just fell out of contention. They just let it go. Like Grambling, we've never accepted, have to accept losing because every coach, like Ray said, is won. But as long as we stay engaged, Coach Fobbs is a G-man. I know this ain't no knock on him. He want to win. Knowing him personally, I know he want to win. But with us, we expect him to win. We whomever, whether it was Doug or Coach Broadway, the expectations gonna always be to win, support, win. But as long as y'all stay engaged, that's the thing that you gotta remember. You'll always be Grambling. Once you stop being engaged, you're not gonna be Grambling anymore. Not the Grambling we know.
Right. Okay. Anybody have anything to say? I know Andrew just got on the call, and we're almost about to wrap up. But anybody have anything to say? Any closing remarks about anything?
I have one, Ray.
Go ahead.
I mentioned it in, the Go Gremlin site, our standing in all sports, at the moment, we sit in 8th position out of 10 teams in the Commissioner's Cup. That is unacceptable. 8. Only people we're ahead of is Valley and UAPB. I mean, how can that be at Grambling?
Not holding coaches accountable from everything from recruiting, because everybody's getting uniforms. It's not like we're, teams are not getting to look good. Every sport has gotten uniforms, new uniforms, especially since we switched over from Russell, they had to get new uniforms. So we're only about four years into this this Adidas thing, something like that. So, we've got, everybody's looking good. The only team that I think that was even close to winning a championship this year the season is still going on for baseball and I think softball, was soccer. They played, our girls played in the soccer championship game. So that's one, and that's from a coach who got his job a week before the season, basically a week before the season started. He was able to take that team that was pretty good already and parlay that into a championship caliber contender. So as far as the other sports, to me, it was kind of matter of time for the track, because if anybody has been to the track, like I've been to the track on a somewhat daily basis, the track is not good at all. There's major things that have to happen for the track. I'm surprised that we've been able to do as well as we've had historically with the condition that the track was in. Something has to be done. I think we just recently got, maybe within the past 2 or 3 years, the bowling alleys back on campus. The tennis courts, we have to go other place to play tennis. We don't have our home tennis facility at this time. Volleyball has been kind of moved out of Memorial Gymnasium to the Assembly Center because the Intramural Center has been moved to the Memorial Gymnasium. So we kind of, displaced in that aspect, but the Intramural Center is supposed to reopen sometime soon, probably this summer or in the fall. And maybe everybody will go back to their locations that they're supposed to be, but we have to get competitive. And I don't, it's coaching, it's recruiting, and I'm sure that those coaches would like to have more money to do other things with as well. But we're not in a position where we could drop any sport. We cannot drop a sport without going to a different division. So that's not an option. We have to be looking.
The minimum is 14.
Huh?
The minimum is 14. If you drop below 14, you're not Division I.
I believe we're at 14. I believe we're at 14. So we have to be looking to add more sports, not drop anything. We need to get men's tennis back. We need to get golf back if that's necessary, and we need to get women's golf if necessary. I don't know if there's any other sport that we don't have that would cause us to have to go. I'm not trying to get like rodeo, and so we have to go get in another division to be competitive in rodeo. No, get the regular sports that we can get good at and be great at them. We have to do better. So I don't think that there's a coach on our campus, with the exception of maybe the soccer coach, that should feel comfortable about their situation. Not one coach, but the soccer coach, because we've not been doing well for various reasons. And I'm not going to sit here and say I know all of them, the reasons why, but I'm pretty sure it had to do with, some of it has to do with coaching. Some have to do with recruiting, and I'm sure it has something to do with some financing. So, you know, I don't know the magic number to the magic fix to it. Maybe the AD when the AD person is hired, you know, maybe that'll help out. But you know, I know a lot of times when new ADs come in, they bring in, you know, like Charles mentioned, they like to bring in their own people, but those numbers tend to be higher in most cases. We never usually hire a coach from another school or whatever that's at the same rate that we got them, that we're already coaching, and maybe that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it tends to increase the
Put that out.
the payroll for us. So if we're doing that, then where's that money going to come from? If we're looking at trying to, you know, if we talk about, does better coaches always mean more money? You know, it does. I don't think it necessarily means more money. It's sometimes you can find a good coach that can get you in the budget that you're looking for a particular sport. But you also have to go out to these camp. I mean, there's volleyball and these other sports that are going on all the time.
Year round.
And they can go and be a part of that instead of, you know, nickel and diming it with these, you know, going to one game. You can go to a weekend and see, you know, 20 different teams play in one location. You don't have to even move location. You can go to Dallas and see teams and teams play in all sports. And it's with the exception of maybe football. You can see AAU football, I mean AAU basketball and these other sports year round, and recruit for years down the road. But you have to get, it may be time for a change. It may be
The
time.
next athletic director is going to look at football first, men's basketball second. I think Coach Jackson's done a nice job there. Women's basketball, they won a championship recently. I think he's fine. And Coach Cooper Graham, his team's always competitive. I think the top four are set. I mean, 3 of the 4 anyway. I mean, we'll see what happens with Bob's, but that's going to be a tough call for the next AD as they try to evaluate the program in terms of where it should be versus where it is right now.
Yeah, when you say that they're set, when you say that you're set, what do you mean by that?
I think, I mean, from my vantage point, okay, obviously Fobbs is tricky, okay, to me. I mean, I think you should let the contract ride out, but that's just my opinion.
Right.
I think men's and women's basketball, from what I've seen, I think both those programs, I mean, you look at Coach Jackson, he won a regular season championship a year in which Grambling wasn't even eligible to go to the SWAC tournament.
Correct.
I mean, I think that speaks a whole lot for a team that season was going to come to an end, for them to win the regular season. I mean, maybe the new AD is not going to look at it that way. That's how I'm looking at it. Women's basketball, I think women's basketball I think they've done pretty well. They've had some pretty good talent. And then Coach Coop at Grambling, I think his teams are all, I mean, they're playing for the Western Division, kind of top 1 or top 2. But again, it just depends on how a new AD is looking at it. Sometimes you get swept up into politics because a new AD just might want his own person because he wants his own person and for no other reason. And that's the tricky and unfortunate and the nasty part about athletics, collegiate athletics.
Well, yeah, okay. Anybody want to comment on that?
Well, my comment is the basketball coach's contract expires on July 1, both of them. The volleyball coach contract is up. So the new AD, or before the new AD come in, some decisions have to be made or should have already been made because their contracts are over.
Okay.
I didn't know that part of it. Okay.
Anybody? Well, I think the men's and women's basketball coaches have actual contracts.
Yeah.
And so I think they had at least a 2-year deal.
A 2-year deal.
A 2-year deal.
July
Okay.
1st ends it.
The other coaches don't have, they're at will employees. If I believe, I'm not sure too much about Cooper. I'm not 100% sure about Cooper, but I do know that the majority of the other coaches, like the volleyball coach, probably don't have actual contracts, that they're at will. I believe that's the case.
So they're day to day.
Yeah, So
Basically.
at any moment they could be let go. So, but again, you have to look at the AD. You know, hiring the AD is going to be a task to a degree, because if I'm not mistaken, and Gary may be able to back me up on this, wasn't Paul Bryant the first athletic director to have a multi-year contract?
The only one that I can remember recently.
Right. So, you know, how much you going to give him? I mean, you're going to give him because it's going to take more than 2 years to make things
Or her.
happen. You know, it's going to take
Or
3.
her.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when I mean that, I mean generically.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean to be gender specific on it, but it's going to take that person at least, you know, years to get things going on. And like you said, that person is going to want their pick to have time in order to make things happen. I agree.
I think in this conference, I think in the SWAC, based on just the moving pieces, you got to give an AD in the SWAC 4 years, a 4-year deal. 4 years.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with that. But
and if you don't, you're not going to get the type of, I mean, there are people always going to want opportunities. But if you want something solid with a lot of fluidity, I think 4 years is what you should give your AD, because it's going to take time. There's going to be coaches that are going to get flushed out. It's just the nature of the business. But a 4-year deal for that AD, if I'm the president, if I'm Mr. Gallo, I'm going to give my AD 4 years. The program's in flux right now. I mean, a 2-year deal is just not going to do it. And I know you got to come up with 4 years worth of money. I get that. But that's what it's going to take to kind of stabilize the ship. If you don't do that, then you're really running a risk.
Yeah, and on that same note, what Crystal was saying, and we all know that that's what that person his responsibility is to raise funds. So, to kind of justify whatever salary that they're making and the length of their contracts and all that kind of stuff. Those are things that are going to be important. Getting those guaranteed games with basketball and baseball and football, those are key to, generating revenue. So I know as much as some of us don't like to see us play, those what they call money games, it's a necessary evil, because if we were playing, if we had if our base was up, see, that's how it all intertwines. If we had a good solid base where we had 13,000 or so people coming to every home game, well, then that means that's money. Those season tickets are sold. Then we may not have to play these upper, level schools and play schools that we may have a better chance at trying to eclipse and work our way up to having those the talent level in order to knock off a UTEP or a Mexico or Rice or somebody like that, as opposed to trying to knock off, Cal, Pittsburgh, or teams like that, or TCU or teams like that. So, but if we have a base that's consistent, those games are not that important to us to play. They're going to be necessary always, but not as important for us to have to play them in order for us to get through a season or to make the budget right. If we've got 13,000 people buying season tickets every year and for the season and things like that, obviously sponsorships, corporate sponsorships are greatly important. But sometimes you have to win, in order to do that. And if you're not winning, that doesn't happen. And so if you don't win for a while, it doesn't happen for a while. And then you're in this conundrum of having wanting to be able to do that and have those sorts of things like corporate sponsorships. But if you don't have the attendance, the corporate sponsors want to see butts and seats. They want to see their eyes on their commercials when they're playing in the stadium and their signage and stuff like that. But if you don't have, if you only have 1,000 people, 1,000 season ticket holders or whatever, then you don't know who's going to show up to the game. So that's why it's important for the fans to support regardless of who the coach is and what the record is. And I know that's hard to do sometimes. But, that's where being that Grambling alum and that, we Grambling thing comes in, because, we support regardless. And, you know, and again, there are ways to give. You know, there are ways to give now. There's organizations that are there now that are available to you to support, and you can support and give directly to the university in various departments. That's available right now. You don't have to wait for a campaign to do it. They're available right now to give to various, go to graham.edu/giving. And there are different types of programs that you can give to, endowments that you can give to right now, today, if you want to do it. Obviously, season tickets come, you know, a little bit later on, but that helps as well. There's organizations like the Alumni Association. If you don't like the people that are running it, get in there, run for office, vote them out, make change. The Grambling Legends Hall of Fame, that's a different thing where they give to the museum and things like that, and help promote the legends of our time. Friends of Football is an organization that has been doing and been giving and things like that. So, you know, there are things out there now. There's ways to give now, and there's other ways that I'm sure that's going to be coming down the pike. So be mindful of those and give where you can, give how you can, give when you can, and encourage others to do the same.
Coach Fox did have the Win League.
Okay, what's that
You know
about?
The Win League, actually, it was a good program. It actually was something that he did initiate, and it discussed on having like a an indoor practice field, an opportunity where players can buy lockers and have their names put on there, an opportunity where you can give money to send the coaches to different various training sessions, opportunity to give money towards recruiting. It was a good presentation that he did make to various chapters of the Alumni Association. It's called Win League. You haven't heard of it?
I've heard the name, but I've never heard any.
Yeah, it's actually like a $30 million project, but it is something to look into. I'll make sure you get a copy of it so you can send it out.
Okay, because I mean, we've had athletic directors do, you know, everything that you basically said, with the exception of sending coaches to you know, clinics or whatever. We've had, but again, I guess I asked this very simple question: why can't we have camps? You know, why can't we have football camps? Those things are easy. That's a money generating opportunity right there. So do you know if that was on the Win League, Crystal?
I don't recall so, but from what I recall, let me get this off of video. From what I recall, the thing is with the state of Louisiana. So the thing is with the camps, the coaches weren't allowed to make money, weren't allowed to be paid for the camps. And that came from Coach Doug Williams. The state didn't allow them to be paid. So to have the camps and not pay the coaches for it, because it was considered something to do with the state of Louisiana. So I'm not sure. So that kind of
the coaches, the coaches is in actually in Fobbs's contract that he can operate camps, and the money derived from that camp does go specifically to him or the department. It's not, because it's not run by the university. Right. It's something that's in his contract that he can do. Like all the other coaches on campus had a camp. So, you know, I know people like to use that low hanging fruit kind of thing. That's something that can be done. And I've seen the contract and I know it's in there. So, but yeah, I mean, I'd like to hear more about the Win League, and but I feel like to see things that can be readily attained done as well, and easily to attain done as well, as long as along with the other big long-term items that that he has in store with the, I'm assuming that he has in store with the Win League. So yeah, I'd be interested to see more about it, because I've heard very little. I heard when that terminology, when, what's important now. I've heard it when he did that when he first got here. He mentioned that when he first got here, the win, I guess, motto, what's important now. But I have not heard much more about the Win League other than it being mentioned. So I'd be interested to see what that's about. Anybody have anything they want to share before we get out of here? I know Drew, you came in on the tail end, and we're basically done with a lot of the stuff that you probably want to talk about. But go ahead, you got anything you want to say?
No, I just want to say hello to the Graham family. You know, just like being in the loop with you guys. You know.
Well, this is Crystal's first time on the program, so I'd like to welcome Crystal. I always like to get new people on the program and get their intake of what's going on. So we appreciate Crystal and the out there in Atlanta doing things for us.
It's awesome.
Okay, then. Well, we're gonna call this one a day. You know, y'all be safe, and if you all
Thank you, Ray. Thank you for having us and giving us a platform to discuss it. We really appreciate it. I hope you never leave Grambling, because you truly are a lifeline, and let us know where the games are, and let us know where the hotels are. Don't give me. I just want to let you know that we appreciate you, because every time we want some information, everybody's like, look on Ray Higgins' page. So.
Well, I appreciate that, but as I tell my Go Grambling people, it's not my desire. I wish that we could go to the university's website, whether it be athletic or educational, and that's where it should be coming from. That's where it should originate from. That's the kind of thing that successful programs are doing. Updating their website, giving their players all their just due on the page, profiles, information, just like a media guide would do. That information should be readily available. So as much as I appreciate the thank yous, and I really, really do thank people who appreciate whatever I can do to help them get information, I truly appreciate the thank yous. Trust me, I do. My family does. But I really wish that the university would do it, because sometimes they may need something that's important right then, and I may not be available. And they can just go on the website. Oh, okay, there it is. That's it. That's it right there. Instead of waiting, let's wait till Ray gets up at 9 o'clock in the morning and waiting for me to give information. I enjoy it, but as much as I do enjoy it, I'd much rather the university handle all official communications.
That should be their job.
Yeah,
somebody ain't doing their job.
Communications from the university, I think that it should be there. Everything should emanate from them and trickle down. If there's ever a trickle down effect, trickle down to everybody else in the social media platforms, to the hearsay. Because trust me, it can. Somebody says one thing, it could end up being a fish story, and it can end up being this, and then next thing you know, it's this. So I want you guys
to put you on payroll, man.
Yeah, thank you for that, Drew. Thank you for that. I appreciate you saying that again. But yeah, okay. But there's going to be hopefully there's going to be some changes, and so I'm pretty sure from the athletic director to parts of the university to everything. So there's going to be some changes. Library is going to hopefully be done shortly. The other library is going to be torn down. It's being torn down as we speak. Hopefully that'll be completed before the summer's over with. Jumbo Hall, hopefully that'll be gone.
With the library, do you know the library's new name, or will it maintain the name AC Lewis?
That I'm not sure about that. That's a good question. That's a good question. But I haven't been told that it's going to be AC Lewis or not. I have not been told either way. If you guys remember Drew Hall Complex, that was the apartment style living that was over there by the big water tower that's coming in off of R.W. Jones, over there by facilities. Those buildings are gone. They've been torn down. It's been flattened, and that land is flat. There's nothing there, and it probably won't be anything probably that other than maybe a parking lot at some point down the road. So that's gone. The mail room, Foster Johnson's Health Center, and the art department are over in the old elementary school at the Grambling High Middle School Elementary Complex, where Grambling High School students went to class. They're over there now. As you know, Dunbar is being torn down, and the art department was in Dunbar. So that's where they are for now. As to where they're going to go, don't know right now, but that's where they are now. Foster Johnson Health Center. I'm not quite sure what's going on with that, but I'm sure that it probably has something to do with the facility. The intramural center / natatorium will probably be open sometime this summer, at the very latest the fall, because it is, from what I was told, complete. So be prepared for that. And I don't know of any other thing that's being torn down at this particular time or being built than what I've already mentioned. So, but again, go to graham.edu for information on Grambling, athletics and administration. Go to gsutigers.com for athletic information, graham.edu/giving for giving, and support your local alumni association, buy season tickets in all sports, support when they go on the road, regardless of the sport. If you can be there and show up, wear some Grambling stuff, and I'm sure that the student athletes would appreciate you being there. So, and of course, we're going to be, this is not to take anything light. We are going to plan an academic meeting, Zoom meeting at some point. So I don't want everybody to think that we're talking about is sports, yada, yada, yada. We understand the importance of administration and education to Grambling State University. Is why we're here. So there is going to be there's one plan, but I'm trying to get people that's a little bit more versed in it than I am to be involved in that particular call. So look forward to that. But I appreciate everybody coming out on this Monday night. And to all your mothers, happy Mother's Day. And to you guys, Father's Day is coming up. So y'all give to y'all fathers as well. But I'll be talking to you guys. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks, Ray.
All right, buddy. Well, that's show number 3 when it comes to athletics, versed show for us. Hopefully we'll have another one and we'll get more people and share ideas, because that's what we're about. We want everybody's opinions to be heard. They're all not going to be popular. Everybody's not going to agree with what's being said or who's saying it. That's fine. We still think that your voice should be heard. And if it's left up to me, your voice will be heard on anything that I do. So I am no stretch. I do not want to say that I'm the expert on anything or everything dealing with Grambling State University, because I am not. I do know a little bit about a little. So whatever information and history and information I can give or pass on to somebody, I want to do it. And if you take it and use it to help you out, that's all I want. So y'all have a good night. Love you guys. Go Grambling.